unlocked? You didn't lock it. Okay. Oh boy, boys and girls, welcome back to the 2218's Attitude for Gratitude Weekly Podcast. You can't tell when it's mean mugged, and who cares? I'm not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about recovery. Boys and girls, we're back. Got a few things I want to talk to you guys about. First thing, as always, is you're not alone. You don't have to be alone. If you're struggling, please reach out. I'm going to put my number up here like I do every single week. You can utilize my number. There'll be people in the messages. You can utilize, network. Use this show for networking. Share the show with other people. The more that are on it, the more we can network. Talk about whatever meetings you're going to. If you'd like to, you can talk about any of those things. If there's something you want me to talk about, just post that up in the comments. If I'm able to, I'll bring it up. But please, if you are struggling, just reach out. Fight for yourself. You're loved. You're worth the fight. You're not alone. You don't have to be alone. Shit, you're with me now. If you're hearing my voice, you're with me. You're in the rooms with me. Maybe not in person, but you're here. You're here in spirit. So, 2218, we got big things happening here, like always. And every week I come in, they're handing me more and more stuff. The club is expanding again. It's starting to get so much bigger with the new lower rates of being able to have a meeting here and the new membership rates. Like, it's bringing so many people back. And not just because of the rates, but just the all-around atmosphere here, the feeling of the place, and knowing summer's coming and the big events that are coming. Some awesome stuff. We got yoga, like recovery yoga is here at 2218. Mondays at 5 p.m. Come on, guys and gals. We got yoga. My girlfriend, she does this place called, you know what, maybe I don't advertise where she goes, but she pays a ton of money a month for yoga. This place, it's downstairs in the auditorium. There's a suggested donation of $10. If you'd like to do yoga and you can't afford it, talk to me. I'll get it covered for you one way or another. If you want to do some yoga, come on down on Mondays, 5 o'clock. This is a beginner's yoga class designed to meet the needs for people in recovery from addiction and alcoholism. Relaxation, meditation, and self-awareness are the main components of this class. All supplies are provided and all are welcome. But if you have your own little mat, feel free to bring a mat. Whatever. Come on down, check it out. If you've never done yoga, give it a shot. I got to be honest with you guys. I've never done yoga. I'm over here talking about giving it a shot when I've never done it. And my girl does yoga like 3 to 5 times a week and loves it. Like, she said this is one of the best things for her mental health, plus her physical side of things. She's getting in shape, and like, I got to be careful. She loves yoga though, and I've heard nothing but great about yoga. So one more time, recovery yoga here at 2218, Mondays, 5 o'clock, downstairs in the auditorium. Suggested donation of $10. It's a beginner yoga class, so you don't need to be some veteran yoga person. Come on down and check it out. Some other things happening here. We got the Sober Pride Dance coming up. And this is being put on by that new meeting I talk about. Every Friday night at 8 o'clock here at 2218, there's a newer meeting. They've been going strong now for a while, and I'm going to have a group of them on the show sometime next month. When Tad and Joel are talking, I will look up the dates, and I'll bring that up before the show's over. But it's going to be an awesome show. I think I talked to about 5 of them that'll be coming here. But bear with me. It's an LBGQT plus sensory-friendly meeting. And anything else I left out, you're welcome. I spoke with Darren, and he kind of filled me in on it because I didn't know about it and know what it was. And he explained basically anyone who identifies any which way, you're welcome. You're not going to be judged. If you feel you're going to a meeting where you are judged for whatever reason, come check this meeting out. I'm hearing great things about it. So they are also putting on a dance on June 24th at 9 p.m. And the dances here are always great. So come check that out. We've also got bike night that started here. First Wednesdays of every month here at 2218. Stop on in, stretch your legs. There's free fellowship. They got burger, chips, and coffee. That's a suggested $5 donation. The Wednesday this month was the first one. We had a good turnout, but they blocked the parking lot off for all the bikes. So come on down, check it out. Again, first Wednesdays of every month is bike night here at 2218. We got CMA back in the building. like I said, lots of meetings are coming back. We got CMA in the house, 6:30 or at 6 p.m. in room 21, Sunday nights. Come check that out. It's called Mathematics. Great name, great name. And then Al-Anon. Al-Anon is finally back. This is huge. Is that empty, bud? Your yellow can?
No.
Oh, yeah, when you're done. So, yes, we've got Al-Anon back. Thursday nights in room 23 at 7 o'clock. Come check it out. It's going to be awesome. And it is awesome. Al-Anon it's the best. I hear about black belt Al-Anon people, and I've met quite a few, and it can help. Like, Al-Anon's the business. Here's something else I want to talk to you guys about. It's called the Red Road. They had it here for a long time, and they just relocated, but I still want people to know that it still is going on. It's it's indigenous, or how would I explain that, Tad? The meeting, the Red Road meeting. It's for
Native American or indigenous people, and it's a different take on the 12 steps. If you work the book, it's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Even
You've been
if
there, right?
Yeah.
And like you don't have to be a Native American or
No,
indigenous.
no, they're
to go.
not going to turn anyone away.
Okay.
Everything that happens at this club moving forward is all inclusive.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So the new meeting hours, it's every Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. For more information, just reach out to me, or you can contact 612-842-0638. I'll put that info up there. The new meeting place is at 3045 Park Avenue South, Church of Gichitawa Katir. Sorry if I misspoke on that. Also, we have the Saturday night speaker meetings here. Just tons of stuff. I could go on and on, but just know that we still have an everyday noon meeting, an everyday NA meeting. There's AA meetings all throughout the day here. So come on down, check it on out. It is awesome sauce here at the club. Again, remember, this is it's a interactive show. So with my guests tonight, if there's something I don't touch upon, or there's something you want me to bring up, or there's a direction you want the conversation to go, or even if there's other topics that you would like, you want to hear some other people on the show, or you have ideas for the show, shoot them on over. I'm going to get my number in the comment section now. So if you're not comfortable putting your question on there, or if you're on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube and you'd still like to be interactive with the show, just message me directly, because I've only got the feed that's up for the Facebook right now. So yeah, utilize my phone number, 612-791-9942. Come on with it. Bear with me 1 second. Joe, you coming up to the show? So here's the deal. We're going to hop into some experience, strength, and hope with Tad, and then with Joel. We're going to then go into some topics, some I always ask some questions of our guests. We're going to talk about those and then move forward and see how the show goes. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to tell you guys about, and it is the Alano Society Minneapolis vision statement. It's to be the premier Alano clubhouse, serving the community by offering support, strength, and hope to those seeking recovery and their families. Our values are recovery, wellness, inclusiveness, and innovation. So if you've never been to this club, come on down. And if you want to be on the show, get at me. Come be on the show. I'm waiting for you, Marty. Like, Marty's a heavy supporter of the show, and it's time for him to come on. He just took my position, or he filled the new position at New Hope Alano on Thursday nights and chairing the men's meeting, which is a strong meeting. So tons of different things. If you're having any questions about meetings, like a men's meeting, a women's meeting, a mixed meeting, AA, NA, CMA, yeah, it's all you. Reach out, just ask. That's the one thing I had trouble with in recovery, was asking questions, and you just got to do it. Just ask. You don't know until you ask. So I'm going to introduce our first guest. It's a welcome back situation. This is the brainchild of the show you guys are listening to right now. This is the man with the master plan of the podcast, the Attitude for Gratitude podcast. Here he is. This is Tad A.
What up, beautiful people? Guess who's back?
Guess who's back? Who's back? Tad.
Rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated.
So listen, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to gear this conversation a little bit. What I want, Tad, and if you're okay with it, a lot of people have never heard from you. A lot of people don't even know you. What I'd like you to do is tell me a little bit of your story, because you have a hell of a story. Just whatever you're comfortable with, like how long you've been in recovery, how you found the rooms of recovery. Tell me your story. Tell us your story. You can make it 2 minutes. You can make it the whole 2 hours, bro. But tell us about you and how you found the success of your recovery, where you're at today.
So, my name is Tad, and I'm a drug addict. And like, look, man, I believe I was always addicted in some certain way before even the drugs started. Like, I used to steal action figures as a kid, and got addicted to that. I used to, my mom used to buy me, you've heard this before, my mom used to buy me 2 pounds of candy at the grocery store, gummy worms. And before I would get home, I would have them gone, and I would throw up and keep eating them. And
I never heard that, dude.
And like, if I didn't say candy or gummy bears, you would think I was talking about some other addictions that I developed later in life. So, and I always been a little intense or wound up a little too tight, and and that's I took myself too seriously, maybe one could say, or not serious enough.
What, as a kid,
times.
you're saying even?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%. And, a lot of that, some of that was trauma responses. And I'm not going to sit here and say I had a shitty life, because I didn't. I'm also not going to say my parents didn't do the best that they could. But there was some abuse, not from my parents, but from their significant others. And at times, my dad's what you would call a functioning alcoholic.
Okay. A normal? Or
no,
a functioning alcoholic?
No, you don't drink as much as he does and be called normal. His whole family, everyone else calls him an alcoholic. I say functioning, and they say, well, I say, dude, when I did that, I was not functioning. Put him side by side. Like, he has a career, he has a job, he has money, he's very successful professionally.
Functioning.
And he married someone who operates, I don't know, on the same, but like they coexist and they both drink.
Really?
So, and they're both professional, and Yeah,
I never knew that. Never knew that at all.
Yeah, so and my mom, she has some mental health stuff, probably doesn't like to talk, but my mom she's a wonderful lady who deals with shit in her own way, but she has been through more trauma by the time she was 5 than most people experience in their whole life. And, the hits kept coming throughout her life, so...
With your mom?
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be jumping here, but as an adult now, like as a basically a parent, you are. What am I talking about?
I am a parent.
I know. As a parent, like
one of my sons is sitting right in front of me.
Yeah. So, like looking back on it now, I imagine your view on your mom in that situation has changed the older you got, the more you've taken on responsibilities. Is that a valid statement?
Oh, 100%. Like, so when I became a parent, my view of my parents changed, and especially my mom, who mostly stuck by me. And this is how I viewed it as an addict, because she called the cops on me and set me up a couple of times. And, but,
looking back on it, do you think it was...
Oh, she wanted me to get help. She didn't want me to die. Like, I believe. I mean, if there was some other shit like that, then I guess fuck her. But that's not what I believe. She 100%. She wanted me to get better. I know. And my dad, they called him Disneyland Dad and shit. Like, because he took me to Disneyland, and like he'd be in my life sometimes and not if he had to pay child support. Like, there's various.
I never
reports.
heard Disneyland Dad. I never heard that.
Yeah, like, dude. Psychology is such a fucked up thing. Like, so check this out. So I blame my dad for everything, and like my mom helped. My mom totally fed into that when I do that. And I used to play both parents against each other. I'd go to one's house and then do the other and get whatever I wanted.
What you wanted.
Yeah, and they use that too. Like, my dad always used it as a competition, because like, I don't know.
What, to outdo her?
Yeah, he had to win. He said that once in therapy, and the therapist was like, "This isn't a competition. This is your son's life, and we're trying to be healthy. No one wins or loses, neither of you, if your son ends up fucked up.
Right.
Because of you guys." But like, so...
Like, and you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have a photographic memory. It's just fucked up because I did a lot of drugs, and, and I tell stories a different way sometimes. But Like, so here's the thing. Like, so for a lot of my life, from like 16 to like 25, 30, like I made him the villain, right? So there was this traumatic incident when I was a kid where I woke up, right? And so I made my dad the villain. And I wake up at my mom's house when I'm 3 or 4 is what I'm told. And I remember this pretty good. And no one was there. My Uncle Eddie was supposed to babysit me apparently. But so I get up, I try to make cereal. I'm a little kid. I jump on the counter, like I spill shit. I broke the bowl, spilt the whole thing of milk.
You little kid just trying to
Yeah, 100%.
Half the box of cereal goes all over the joint.
Yeah, there's a broken bowl, and I'm crying now. I'm scared because there's no one there.
Yeah.
So, and I call my grandma. I've known my grandma's number. It's the only phone number I know by heart, besides mine, still to this day. And cell phones haven't helped that. But so I call her, and I'm like, hey, I'm not home. And so in my mind, the story goes like this. She comes and gets me, and we have donuts, and I go with her. That's not what happened. 100% is not what happened. I talked to when I first got sober, I talked to her because I had questions. Because like I was almost giving up for adoption, and I was like, Grandma, why didn't you try and adopt me? And she's like, I did. It wasn't like that back then. A grandparent couldn't just take you.
So your concept,
my
the story you were telling yourself, your truth, was.
So, and she's like, I didn't come get you. You called me because you knew my number. I woke your dad up and made him come get you, and he got donuts with you, and you guys hung out the whole weekend because you were scared, and he went and took you to a baseball game, and you had a blast.
But your memory was that traumatic incident of waking up.
And I wrote him out of it because, and like, so I really, really. I almost, if it wasn't my grandma, I wouldn't have believed her. If my dad told me that, I would have told him he was full of shit.
Right.
Like, it's time to be honest. I thought we turned a new leaf, Dad. Like, I would have argued with him.
You know what's crazy? Rick was just on the show talking about this, and I've been going. He cornered me into making a commitment to go to the 4-Step workshop on air. So I've been going.
You'll see my sponsor then, Jason.
Yeah. We just went and ate at the Thai spot. But whatever. He brings that up. He's like, I made my dad the villain. People think like resentments is, he's like, no, the things that happened, sure, they happened. But I'm the one, like he understood. He's like, for me to get past that and over it, I realized I'm the one who made the problem. Even though it was his dad who did all these things, it was him who had the resentment. His dad didn't make him have the resentments.
Oh, hell no.
But I get
he was an excuse to do shit.
Exactly.
For me. He was an excuse. He didn't make me make him an excuse. I wanted to be fucking angry and act crazy, and I always had the reliance of my dad's a piece. You know,
Right.
I could.
Yeah, he didn't make you spin a ball or do a jack
No.
move
He put a gun to my hand.
Well, okay.
I'm just and said, Smoke this meth. No, that never happened, by the way. Can you?
Yeah, we got to validate that. We joke a lot.
No,
yeah,
so
like, fucked up.
My dad was super fucking competitive, and he made me like. So he tried to relive.
You're the oldest, right?
Oh yeah, I'm my dad's only.
Tara,
my dad.
You're both your brother and sister, different dads.
We're all different dads.
Okay.
Once I became a teenager and he went through that whole ordeal, he went and got a vasectomy without telling his new wife.
Really?
Yeah, he made the decision he didn't want other kids.
And didn't tell her?
Yeah.
While they were together, you did it?
Well, she found out after.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Trying to have a family.
He didn't give her a say, and, it's whatever. But I was such a great teenager. That experience changed him, I guess.
But that is wild, though. I never heard that story. I didn't know that. And then this thing... What happened then, by the sounds of it, is something traumatic happened. You woke up, he wasn't there.
Yeah, it was
and then
three. You're always supposed to have someone with you when you're three, your mom or your dad or someone. Yeah.
So then the rest of the weekend, he was written out of the story that whatever happened, that was such a big deal.
Yeah.
The rest was all.
And I remember like being little, and my uncle. I remember some weird shit from when I was like 2 or 3, and like people are like, the people involved were like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So looking back, you think a lot of those things that happened, you can say this is why I turned out the way I did, or
no?
How do you look at it?
Well, I mean, so obviously.
And I say, this is how you turned out the way you did. Not like
obviously that I've had other traumatic incidents and abandonment issues and shit like that, but it's scientifically proven that a lot of your shit is formed in those first developmental years. However, we can form new habits with trauma, with different things,
Right.
and we've talked about neuroplasticity and all.
Yes.
We've talked about some of that.
I have
shit
a question
before.
while we're on this. Do you think there's such thing as good trauma? Now we could be getting into semantics on wording, but
we could be getting into semantics or into the weeds, but
But
I
good
don't know.
trauma.
Like, is anything really good or bad though?
yeah, well, like I'm trying to come up with examples of something that's a super exciting first
Well,
experience. of
I think that's
something.
an experience, not a trauma. Like,
I get that.
I mean-
I guess I should. You know what? Let's
so like, look.
go ahead.
So,
I just want to look
can-
up
I-
the definition because trauma
trauma is something that traumatizes you, meaning it by
in
nature
a negative way.
affect.
But that's what I mean.
By nature, it affects you and it has everlasting effect.
A
Now,
good experience could be that. That's why I'm saying.
usually, I
you're
haven't
right.
heard of many things, and I'm not ruling it out. But so, like, what I would say, I haven't heard of many things good traumatize people.
Right. But
What
you
I
hear where I'm
can
going,
say,
my thought is on
yeah,
that.
what I
Okay.
can say is, I know of a lot of shit from trauma, from that experience that people have persevered. Quite sure the programs we go to were started because of some trauma that was experienced.
Here you go. Let me real quick read this because there is a key word in here that does say not negative but stressful. Going through very stressful, frightening, or distressing events is sometimes called trauma. When we talk about emotional or psychological trauma, we might mean situations or events that we find traumatic. How we're affected by our experiences. So yes, stressful, frightening.
And there's a
Yeah.
there's a couple ways to deal with trauma. There's one to get absorbed by it,
yeah.
and
Clean up
it just becomes you. There's to run away from it. Various ways are drugs and alcohol and or other things.
Is that
Pretend
a
it,
form of running away from it? The
I
drugs
think-
and alcohol?
numbing yourself
Numbing,
to cope.
right, okay.
It's a coping mechanism for sure. Or there's what I did
And that is
the last year. Because make no mistake of it, what happened to me was a traumatic experience. And
okay.
you-
Wait.
And I'm
wait.
not-
I'm
I'm not-
pumping the brakes. You just skipped 29 years, bro. You talked about a 3-year-old.
What-
we got to talk. Come on, we got to build up.
Oh, you want to
that
go
here.
through the whole story?
This is your experience, strength, and
Okay.
hope, dude.
Well-
Our other guest isn't showing up, so yes.
Yeah,
You
I
get-
was just going to talk about how I handle trauma now. as
Yeah, no,
opposed to
we're
then.
gonna get to it.
Okay, fine.
We
So
need
what
to
I
know
used
the
to do,
Tad, the person.
what I used to do with trauma is I used to do what I talked about. That it became me, and I would, you know this. You've been friends
yeah,
with me
but
for
our
a little
guests
bit.
don't. Wait, listen, we
Well,
have a
no,
whole
no.
new line
So-
of listeners.
I get that. So what I'm gonna say won't be a shock to you, and you've watched it go in phases. So like, and you never even got to witness it in its full glorious.
oh darn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, oh darn, it was bad sometimes when it wasn't like that. So and I would talk about it and relive and re-traumatize myself.
Trauma. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I remember speaking and re-traumatizing myself, and that's how I did it. I used to do it on the show sometimes.
I remember we were
When we talked about me being molested.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I want you to go through your story because there's some things
And-
I think that could help some of these newer listeners that have gone through some things they've shared about on here, and I haven't had any guests who I knew went through some things you've been through that I was hoping you would share your story, dude. Like,
So-
that could help a lot of people.
Hell yeah. So like that was like I kind of grew up like my mom wasn't necessarily a drug addict, but she dated a lot of them. My dad had a job all the time, but he was drunk and partied all the time. And you know, some shit happens to people when you live that. When you're a kid there and you have a smart mouth because you learned it. And if you don't know me, I have a very smart mouth. So I mean, like some shit happened. My dad tried to relive his childhood through me, like enrolled me in every sports, Boy Scout, like structured. My life was so fucking structured. And as an addict, what do we do when they tell us to have our life is structured the minute we get any chance to do that? Yeah. So
I mean, you played, didn't you? You played some major sports and you were excelled at them. I thought, if I remember.
not as a kid. As a kid, no. As a kid, I was just fast and growing constantly, and like I uncoordinated as hell. Still am. And as an adult, I just figured out how to turn that speed in my mouth into good enough. If you mean that by excelling. My friend Lou and Josh, they're at the Twins game. I ran into them at work, and they were trying to talk me into going to volleyball after this.
Oh, well, what, over at Ham Lake? They
Yeah,
still do
yeah,
it there?
yeah. They were trying to talk me into
Didn't
going.
you get injured there pretty bad?
No, I never got injured there.
You went there with an injury. Whatever. So here, I'm gonna.
I pulled my shoulder out of socket while playing and kept playing.
Yeah, nutcase. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk you through your own story because I'm gonna slowly. I'm gonna
Before I try and go to the future and
No,
go
not
somewhere.
even that. Of course,
I
that's
know, I
part
know.
of your story today,
No.
and we're gonna talk about it.
Oh, he's alive.
And we're gonna talk about it. But what I want to do is I want you to pretend you're at SNL and you're telling your story,
All
bro.
right. No, yeah, I'm doing it.
And then after
We're
you,
gonna.
Joel's gonna.
Okay. So, like I said, that was kind of how I grew up. And like during that time, I was never comfortable in my skin. I never felt like I could be me. And like,
You always felt like an outsider.
yeah. And I was always a waffler too. Like what you got to understand is like, I won a science fair and then I'd be in the sports, but I was never quite a jock. I was never quite a super nerd. I liked comic books, but like,
you did.
I tried to, and like I joined what was the nerd club? The sci-fi club. And I could never, I never
4-H
like,
club?
no, the sci-fi
Sci-fi.
club. I found that in middle school or some shit, but like, and I had a different I would dress differently. I could dress like a prep. I was always a chameleon, but I never
right.
knew where I fit. And
Class clown stuff.
for a little bit, but there was always someone funnier.
But
And,
like attention seeker.
sometimes and sometimes not. Like much like now, where like everyone thinks I like attention because they just do because I'm loud and I'm funny and I'm entertaining and I'm
right.
great. So you
And
think
it
I
gets
like
assumed.
attention? Yeah, no, because there are times I want to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah, no, I know. You were the first one who told me, dude. I just wanted you to listen, because like you called. It was 3 years ago or something. You called to share. You were going through something, and I started giving you advice or thinking I'm here. Let me help. And you're like, I just needed to share. I just needed to talk. I was like, whoa, sorry. I didn't know. You don't know if you don't know. So you're growing up. You're feeling kind of like an outsider, but you're also a chameleon. You
And
find the science nerdy world.
And then I tried drinking a couple times. I couldn't hold
What
my
age?
I couldn't hold my liquor like 13, 14.
Okay.
Like I remember the first time I drank liquor and beer happened almost virtually identical. Fucking
Really?
slammed the whole beer can.
Just like your gummy bears.
Yeah, just like I did that Red Bull when you said you needed an empty can, and fucking spit it out everywhere. So then I steal a bottle, right? It was Halloween, 6th grade, and
Booze?
I stole a bottle from my step grandpa, and it was expensive shit, I guess. It was like brandy, and I blamed it on the troubled drug kid that lived down the street. Like he sold it to me, like the guy with
Pappy
the
Van
Doobie record.
Winkle, like a
Yeah.
$200 bottle or something.
It was like a $235 bottle of scotch or some shit. Yeah, and so like I get all the cool kids to come out with me before, and my buddy Andrew, and dude, they all start drinking, and they're like, oh yeah, and like first I crack it and just boom, and it comes right back up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good on that. Never gonna
Like
do
throw
it.
up or just instant gag?
Like all the alcohol came back up.
So like, did you even get drunk?
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
no. I was the only one who didn't blow numbers. We all got caught.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And you're
Can
the
you
one who
prove
bought
it?
The bottle.
Yeah, they're all like, all the kids say, yeah, kids have, there's a long record of people picking on me and saying that, and they're like, that's true. I'm like, can you prove it? And they couldn't, and my dad, but they suspended me anyways. And my dad came and he's like, where the fuck did you get the booze? And I blamed it on the druggie kid down the street. 100%, my buddy's brother.
So
And he said he did sell it to me, and he's like, what are you going to do about it to my dad? Prove it.
really,
Yeah, and then the next time I was over there, he was like, Dad, don't fucking blame your shit on me. If you're going to do your shit, own it.
own it. So
And-
this is at 12, 13?
Yeah. And I was smoking cigarettes by then.
So
and-
smoking cigarettes, but you weren't really drinking no reefer yet? No, not.
no, that same year, I found reefer for the first time. And so what happened
Are
was.
we really old people that just said reefer?
Yeah, you started it.
I did.
And so
Marijuana.
I remember that being great, but I got fucking caught by my dad.
What happened?
Instantly. I get high. I ride my bike, and they're laughing at me. The older kid, because I was in 6th, 7th grade, I'm hanging out with 9th and 10th graders. All the famous kids, like that were, one was on Sally
popular.
Jesse
Oh.
Raphael for I'm afraid my kid's gonna kill me. Another one was on the news for a high speed chase. Like I went and hung out with
You
those
said
kids,
the famous kids.
like infamous kids.
The infamous. That's
But
better.
dude, one guy was on the news in a high-speed chase, and another
back
guy was
then-
on
yeah,
Sally Jesse
yeah.
Raphael. That was famous
That's
to
famous.
me.
You damn right.
Yeah, to 12, 13-year-old? Hell yeah.
And they're older and you're hanging out with
Yeah,
them?
yeah, and they love me.
So
they get me
was it
hot.
peer pressure? Okay.
They,
got
they
you.
asked, and I was like, yeah.
Let's get it.
And I lied and said I smoked before.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh,
And,
I do.
and then
I do
they're
all
like,
the
you
time.
never smoked before. And I'm like, yeah, I feel fine. And then they're like, dude, we're hungry. And I'm like, I'm going to go get us some food. Wait here. And they said that they watched me bike. Like, I've heard this story now. Like, I've since met some of them in recovery and other places. They said, like, I biked like this, a zigzag line. And they thought I was going to
Drunk
die.
or something, yeah.
Yeah, they were laughing. And then I come back with pockets full of food.
Oh, so you came through.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I went to Food and Fuel and stole a shit ton of food, candy. I went and gaffled them, and then I thought I was getting caught, so I just took my shirt like this, dumped out a whole row of candy, and took off.
off running?
Yeah, grabbed my bike and took back off. And showed back up, and they were laughing. They're like, what the fuck? And they're
But
like,
you were high. You were.
oh,
you
yeah.
did
And they were
get-
like,
all right.
Tad, you cannot go back to Food and Fuel for like a month. And that all happened at the park behind Blainbrook when I told you, like, I smoked some of my first cigarettes in Blainbrook. Like, that was my stomping.
That was your old stomping grounds back there. So this is at what age? Still 13, 14.
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. And now you're
And
smoking.
I think, like, the end of fifth grade or the beginning of sixth grade, we started stealing cigarettes from Food and Fuel, me and my...
Yeah, because this was before they had them behind the counter. Yeah.
Well, they'd have some behind the counter.
So then where from... All right, these are your first experiences with substances. Like, where does things become an issue? Like, does it happen later in life?
I got
or-
caught right away.
But you got caught. I'm saying, where
My
does it-
dad, I told him I got high. Right, I get home and he all of a sudden he's like, "What are you, stoned?" And I started fucking laughing. And I was like, "What's stoned?" He's like, "Hi, did you smoke pot?" And I just started fucking laughing. He used to smell the back of my shirt because I'd smoke and then I'd roll in grass and fucking spray. And he'd come up, smell the back of my shirt, be like, "You been smoking?" I'm like, "No, I hang out at Blainbrook. It's smoky in there." I'm like, "Well, who smokes with the back of his shirt?" He's like, "You got me for now."
You got me for now. We used to have an assistant principal, Mr. King. He'd smell our fingers. Sounds gross, but he would for weed, and we get pinched all the time, man. So where does it become?
That motherfucker brought me to the hospital and made me take a UA. even
Your
though I
dad?
admitted it. Yeah.
All right. So then what? Now where are we at?
Me and
Early
him-
teen years.
early teen years, like I pretended to use drugs a lot more than I did because I fit in with them. People always thought, and they
Chameleon
like,
shit.
yeah, well, they thought I was always high and shit because like I got diagnosed with everything under the sun, like from Asperger's to Tourette's to this, that, you name it, ADHD, and they had me on amphetamines, they had me on
All sorts of
poppers, downers, sidewaysers, everything. Like, and finally I got off all that shit, and then I it was time to play after that. But like, so I kind of did that dance. Am I in? Am I out? And like, I just owned that I was a druggie, even though I didn't do as much
shit.
drugs.
It wasn't really your.
It wasn't real. It was a story.
Right. Okay.
And and then I don't know. In high school, I started smoking pot all the fucking time.
So high school.
Yeah, especially when I went to an ALC.
A what?
ALC, Alternative Learning Center.
Oh.
Yeah, a charter school. So especially when I did that, I only had to go to school for
Your
3 hours.
sister had to explain to me what that was. I was
Yeah.
talking, I don't know, a month or two ago, and she was talking about something back in school, and it was that type of school. I didn't know what it was.
100%.
ALC, alternative. So, all right, here's the question, and I know I said tell your story as I'm sitting here questioning you on it. Where, I know you had consequences. Is it later in life, or where does it become
Later.
a
Besides,
problem?
me and my
Based on
dad.
recovery, like this
Me
is
and my dad
recovery
started
show.
fighting. I moved in to my mom's partially because my dad had a new wife and she called me on my shit, and partially because I had a girlfriend over at my mom's house, and partially because I don't know, I could probably get away with more shit. I don't know.
Right, at mom's.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like then, problems started happening at 16 because I just didn't want to go home. I'd run away from home, and that's why I got on probation. That's why, like, and that started happening, and then other things would happen. Like, I'd run away, and people always like to fuck with me. They always have. They always have. I'm skinny and I got a big mouth, and people always like to fuck with me. And it's never turned out well for people, and there's consequences for that for me.
For you.
Yeah, it just hasn't. Like, I am who I am, and it doesn't turn out well when you fuck with me. And, like, I'm not the type of person, and I never have been, even at my worst, that comes after someone unless they come after me or someone I love or something. I'll hold dear. So, and I don't know. Life was okay through high school. I got high and drunk and like still never really liked liquor. And then, I don't know, somewhere 16, 17, I started smoking a little meth here and there. And when
Just here and there?
Yeah, here and there. And then, because I like to get fucked up, but I couldn't drink like a fish. I could have a few. If I had any more than like 3 or 4 beers or like 2 drinks, I was throwing up. And especially with the amount of weed I smoked, because I don't know why. But like, so then it crossed into meth, and there were some consequences. Pretty like, I mean, I managed to stay out of trouble for a little while, like a year on the shit, but like there were consequences. I was homeless. I was bouncing around the trap houses. I was doing stuff, and almost went to prison a couple times. You know, all that happy song and dance, and I mean, that was basically like 17 to like 19, maybe 20, and I did 8 months in jail, 8 months in treatment before that, and then I moved up north for almost 9 months. So for almost 3 years, I was gone.
So when was the first treatment? Because I know we've been to
18 or 19.
Because where was the hospital you and me would go to on
Unity.
Wednesdays? Unity, right before COVID something.
Yeah, I still go there.
So I know I've heard you share a lot when we go to Unity, and I know you've been to Unity.
I've been Unity like 20 to 30 times.
Yeah.
I can't put a number on it, but it's a lot.
So that's like, all right. So 18 years old, you started this career of recovery, or
I went to treatment because I can tell you that story. So treatment came first, then jail, then I moved up north, and then I came back. But right before
Cambridge,
Rush
Branch
City,
or Rush? Okay.
Rush City. Right before I went to treatment, look, I had the baby mama. I was doing the street thing.
baby mama, you had a kid?
Yeah.
We just skimmed over a kid.
Yeah, he was born when I was 19. And we were dysfunctional as hell. And look, I was on meth. Everything's going to be dysfunctional when you're on meth. And like, so I had a day.
Weird.
Yeah, I had a day, and I don't know, I had a bad day. I was bouncing around people's houses, and I had to wait 4 hours for meth. That was when I was going to get the next shit.
Okay.
And like I had already like been strung out and up for a week or whatever. I don't know the exact, and I don't even honestly know what I was getting, but I know that I had to wait 4 hours. And the fact that it was 4 hours, not 2 hours, and I basically was stuck outside. Like I didn't want to wait with the other tweakers because I thought they were hiding dope from me, and like so I left like 5 trap houses in that period instead of waiting. And like my buddy was like, "Well, we'll be here at 10 or midnight or whatever," and it was 4 hours. Okay. So I was trying to kill 4 hours. And I remember sitting at Four Seasons Trailer Park. I was sitting in like the picnic tables area where we called them. And then I was back in the woods. I don't know, doing some weird tweaker shit. But I had my gun on me. And I remember just...
The psychosis-y...
No, I was going to kill myself because I didn't want to wait 4 hours.
That's what it came down to.
And like I had gone through this, killed 2 hours of that 4 hours. By the time I was ready to kill myself, it was probably 3.5 hours. And I was like, and all of a sudden I had a brief moment of clarity. And I was like, that's fucking not right. And I'm like, I still want to do it. Probably going to blow my fucking brains out tonight, even if I do get dope. And I ended up showing up at my friend's ex-girlfriend's house. Her name was Heather. We were friends for a while after that, but I never liked her and she never liked me. And I think I robbed her, matter of fact. And both her dads, her stepdad and dad, like chased me down. Any rate, I knocked on her door, and she was basically like, "Dad, what the fuck?" And I broke down, and I gave her my gun, and I was like, "Take this." And she was like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "I'm about to kill myself because I got to wait a couple hours for meth."
You guys, I just put up a hotline on the screen, and what he's talking about, we understand it's a real situation. So if you're struggling with any type of mental health like that, or you're having any harming thoughts or something, please reach out to that number, or use my own phone number. You can reach out to me. But please reach out if you're struggling. So you go to this girl's house, you break down. What happens from there?
She gets her dad, her stepdad, Carrie, and then she calls her real dad, or he calls her real dad, and because like essentially Carrie came out as like, "You're not leaving. Do we need to bring you inside the house?" Like, "No, we're not calling the cops." Carrie's like, "I can get rid of the gun. It's fine. I don't care what happened to it. The gun will never exist again."
Right.
He's like, "We're not going to deal with that. Nothing like what?
So
what do you
helping.
need? What do you need to not run away? Cigarettes and water." Oh, he's like, fucking done. I'm going to go get another. She's like, yeah, he's a chain smoker. Yeah, just stay here. And there I got a pack and a half of cigarettes and like 5 water bottles. And then her dad pulls up like 25 minutes later. He would later be my cellie in jail. But no.
Okay.
And they start talking to me, and I tell them, and
just break down
I
and
didn't
be
know
honest.
Carrie went out the front door and like got rid of the gun, whatever that means.
So
And he's like, the gun's already gone. The gun doesn't exist
It's
anymore.
just
Because
you
I
guys
was
breaking
stuck
it
on
down.
I was stuck on the gun.
right,
The cops
Oh,
are
yeah,
coming.
That's
Yeah.
their mentality.
Yeah. And they were like, nope. And they talked to me, and her dad was a drug addict and shit, and he was like, dude, so where you're at is we can let you back in the streets. We can let you stay. I could bring you to my house, but like, look,
Like
man,
they're there to help.
like, I think you should go to the hospital, but it has to be your decision. And they're like, you're gonna go to Mercy campus in Coon Rapids. That's where we're
Right.
gonna bring you. They're gonna psychologically evaluate. Then they're gonna transfer you to Unity.
So like,
And
they
that's
walk
what you want to
through
do.
The whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And they brought me there, and Heather sat with me the whole time in the emergency room, and I did that, and it was my first experience with Unity, and it was back-to-back treatments. Like I went there, got out, went to a sober house, relapsed, went back, went
Quick
on.
question about that. So that's first time, like when these people helped you out and you went there, did that begin like a cycle of spin dry? Like you got there, your head cleared up, and then like before, without any tools.
No,
with
my
what
head,
you
my,
know
my
now.
head wasn't clear.
So it
looking
wasn't
back
even
on
when you got back. Like you
no,
didn't
no,
have
because I
tools,
started I started smoking weed like less than 30-day treatment in the sober house. That second night I was
already
stoned.
blowing.
And when I smoked weed, like I went into like meth psychosis again.
It
The
brought
first
you
the
to a
first
place.
the first couple times, like I started tweaking.
That's
And,
weird.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was-
But that's how I guess that's kind of the question I have.
yeah, I
about
was
that,
I
like,
wasn't fully out of meth psychosis yet.
because right now you've been clean this amount of time where
'Cause-
you can clearly look
Yeah.
back and know the tools you have now. Was that the reason you weren't able to, or were you just like, I'm not really ready?
I don't know.
Or-
Here's what I've said, and I've told some people this before. And like, so at 18, 19, like I remember when I got caught, failed a UA at my second halfway house, and they were like, if it's Tad who's using drugs in the house, that's just fucked up, and I'm never going to be sober. Because I was like I was now, only I wasn't really in it. My heart wasn't. Like what I told you the story about Romney. He came up to me at my 3, and this basically sums up my story in and out of the rooms. And he said, you know every fucking thing in here. You have all the
Romney.
fucking, yeah.
Yeah.
You have all the books memorized. You know all the things to say, and you know all the things to do, but you're not feeling it in here. And I don't know if you ever are going to feel anything in there until you fucking do. And I need you to feel something in here. I need you to,
I love it.
if you don't believe the stuff that you're memorized, then quit fucking saying it.
Right.
Quit saying it. Say stuff that you do believe. And once that happens, once here and here connects, brother, the sky's the limit for you. And I remember, like, next time I saw him, I think you were around.
Totally
It was
rock
at the
and
ride.
recovery, baby.
Yeah, and I was like, Romney, I need to tell you something. I need to apologize for the way, but it's water under the bridge. You were right. He said, I know I was right. He's like, it doesn't happen a lot, but I know I was right.
Was that was when he spoke, right? That was
Yeah,
after he
you
came
were
back
there.
from his
I'm pretty sure
accident.
you
Yeah,
were there.
I know I was.
You
I
were
was.
no, you were right next to me
Yeah.
when I had that conversation with him. And so like we could skip a whole lot of heartache in this story and just go, I did meth, went to treatment, went to jail for 8 months, came back, got immediately back on meth, and me and my best friend Steve, the 2 methed out rappers, we Scandalous and Tiak, they called me Gat Spagat because I went to perform at my first concert, right? And I had been up for 2.5 weeks, and everybody's doing their lines, and we're all fucked up. And I sit there like this, and I freeze, and then I go up, and then I start tweaking, and then the only thing I can get out is Gat Spagat. That was oh yeah, they start calling me, and we just started rapping about being
That's
tweakers.
yes.
Yeah, and so yeah, it was one of the entrances to our song was Pap Pap and Scandalous and Gat Spagat, and I was like, fuck you, dude.
That is classic though, dude. Come on.
Oh yeah, 100%. Another fun time when I tried to rap, I got drunk and threw up on the audience.
Awesome. I bet
Literally.
they come back. So here, let me ask this. You go from, you shared some powerful shit. Where, like I said, anyone out there, if you're struggling with some mental health stuff or you're having some harmful thoughts, anything of those nature, just please utilize that 988. You can call that 24/7. Reach out to me. Reach out to someone. People are posting questions and comments on here. Reach out to them. Just please reach out. You're worth the fight. And you've heard, like, there are some other sides of the fence here. And what Romney said, that shit's powerful. Like,
Hell yeah. And I always had people in my corner, whether I knew it or not. One guy got mad at me, this guy John in treatment that I was with up in Fergus Falls when I was like 25. And he was like, it feels like everything just falls in your lap, Tad. And like, that's not it. Because everything that I do, if you know me, I'm in it. If I'm not in it, I'm rolling my eyes and I'm not there. And you'd rather not have me. You'd rather not have me around because I'm going to let you know I don't believe in it. With my actions, my smart ass when I'm in it, even if it's for 10 minutes, whether it's recovery or life, I'm all the way in it, fucking baby, and let's go.
Right.
And that,
yeah, gung ho.
I can
Closer to you. So you go for this, 20, up until this last 4 years. From
I
there
didn't
to when you started, like.
me and Steve moved up north, right? Mm-hmm. We got the meth out of our system by help build his grandpa's house, and we started drinking every fucking night. And the first 3 months, I threw up all the time. Then magically, I turned 21, and I could drink and everyone
drink.
under the table. It was basically it. And I did that for 10 years, like off and on, with multiple treatment stints in between until like I was 25, and I moved up to Fergus Falls and got married and had a baby, my third baby. And, then that went bad. I think I started smoking pot and
You
drinking.
got real involved in recovery. Was
Oh,
it
yeah,
Fergus
yeah,
Falls?
yeah.
You got super involved.
Yeah, I was
like,
the president of that club. I did a lot of
was it
stuff.
Alano?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did
That was Cambridge though,
no,
or North.
No.
I thought you were okay.
no,
Okay.
no, nothing in Cambridge. Cambridge doesn't have an Alamo club, I don't think.
I don't know.
We
maybe
could go start
somewhere
one.
north.
but
Somewhere north. I thought.
Let's do it.
Fergus Falls.
That was only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 100% cool. Started rapping again, did some stuff, and I started drinking and smoking while I was rapping, hanging out in the bars and hanging out with the people. One day, my the guy who signed me the record deal, Kev Hutch, they had an after party. Like I started going to the after parties. I never drank at the bars, never did, and I started going to the after parties because a lot of times we'd record shit, and like people would show up there and like after I missed partying with Tech Nine. And they made a song, and I wasn't in it because I was sober. I always went to the after parties in case some shit happened.
Right.
And one day, all of a sudden, I just had a drink in my hand when it was fucked up. And he's like, "What? Well, you don't drink?" And I was like, "Watch this. I'm about to drink you under the table, bro." And like, and that's how it went. And shit went south with me and the wife, and she beat the shit out of my kid. She hit me with a car. I shattered my vertebrae, and I moved back to the cities.
And that was at 26, 25, 26?
27. I moved back in like end of winter. And then I know it was 27 because that year when I had my birthday, I wore my Adrian Peterson jersey so I didn't forget how old I was. That's a 100% true story. Because by that time, dude.
What was that, 28?
Yeah. Yeah. By the time I had got to my birthday in August from April, like I was getting tore up. Like that was the time, like my sister told you about, like it was during that period where she came over and dropped acid in my mouth and left.
You became an alcoholic.
Oh, I became a partier.
Yeah,
and look, man, the first 5 months I was back, 6 months I was back, you got to remember, like I was gone for like 4 or 5 years. Everybody wanted to come party with Dad. Within 7 months, nobody wanted to party with Dad. Unless they wanted to buy weed from me, essentially, or needed something from me. And in that time, then like, I started doing a little meth again because my buddy got on meth. Like I went into the trap house to tell him, you should not be doing this.
Dad,
You should not be doing this.
Yes.
You should not be doing this.
You go in there to 12-stepping, basically.
You should not be doing this. We get drunk. We do this. We don't do this. You know what this is going to do. But hey, just tonight, give me 100, baby. and I once again, like I walked that line for a little while, but dude, I'll tell you what, I became a felon within 30 days of doing meth again. Well, after basically staying off it for 10 years. And when I say basically, there was like 3 or 4 times I came out of a drunken blackout with a pipe in my hand. And then, you know, I don't know, like I bounced around for a while, tried to get sober some more to get out of trouble, and eventually got back on the drugs and shit and like quit talking to probation. And like I went to jail, and this prosecutor lady was like, here's the deal. Anytime I've been on probation, I've executed my sentence because basically if you tell me what to do, I say, fuck you. It's oppositional to science. And this lady said a bunch of shit. And like the judge was all like on my side, like, yeah, there's some hoops to jump through, but we can get you out and get you back to where you were succeeding. And I was like, nah, I'm going to prison. And like he argued with me. And I was like, no, did you listen to this lady? I'm a goddamn monster. I got to go to prison. And,
I'll show you.
And I went to, well, no, just because I don't know. And I went to well, I wouldn't have got the charge if I wouldn't have pled guilty just so I could get out that day, which I did. I pled guilty so I could get out the same day. That's what happened.
Yeah, and then wait for sentencing.
Yep. If I would have fought it, I would have been in there another month. But I needed to
Right.
go. I needed to go do drugs and shit.
Yeah.
I psychologically was obsessing about meth for so much. That
I know.
needed to
I've
get
been there, dude. I've been there.
100%. And
Do
so
say whatever you can to get out just to get that
yeah,
fixed.
didn't even care.
Yep.
And look, man, I'll tell you what. I'll never forget this. I was slightly nervous. My other buddy was really nervous because we were both going to go. We didn't know if we'd be going the same, but we both got sentenced. He was scared as shit. I got out and went and seen one of my homies because I knew everyone in jail by this
Right.
time because I was back. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to prison. And my buddy's like, you mean you're finally going to prison? He's like, you escaped 37 felonies by the fucking hair on your nuts last time. And it scared you enough to where, oh, wait, you did this, and this, and so you just got out of the meth world. He's like, bro, all your family and friends is there. And it's true. I met like 5 cousins I never met in real life before. I'm not even shitting you. This guy was like, oh, your mom's at my house right now. I'm your second cousin. Like a bunch of my friends, you know, look, man.
Where'd you go to Moose or?
No, I never left St. Cloud because
They kept you in Cloud?
because I only ended up with a year, and I had half that shit done already.
Oh, huh.
I had like
Stayed
2-3
bunch of time
months
already.
done, so that I did 8 months. And like, look, man, it's one of the 2 or 3 times in my life I did my taxes. I had a girl that had a lot of money.
Child support got paid.
No. When if you're in prison, they can't take that shit for child support. So it's one of the only times I ever got it back. So I got like $4,000 back. She gave me I ate good and I fed my family.
He had
And-
money on the books.
Yeah, I sweatsuits, TVs, and like that was luck. And like, look, I got fat. I was fat when I left prison. It's one of the only times in my life I was fat. Yeah, for me, I had a belly and I weighed 195.
Shit.
That's fat for Tad.
Yeah.
And my face looked round in pictures. It was crazy.
So you get out the Hoot Scout, and then what? Like right back at it?
Bitch ass probation officer.
Yeah. It was their fault.
No, parole.
Yeah, I meant the probation officer.
Parole.
It was their
Parole,
fault.
not probation. So I still had to parole my good time, you know. And I failed 18 of 21 UAs in 25 days.
Nice.
Look, man, I was sober 3 months before. Like Jason, you've met Jason.
Yeah,
my sponsor.
we just
he
just
was
had
like,
dinner.
I called him the day before I went to prison. I'm going to prison. I've been sober for 3 months. Spite you. And he's like, I never heard that before. And then he stays sober in prison. And like, it was around me.
You
'cause of
did
my
say
people.
sober in prison?
Yeah.
Shit, I did. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, minus one thing. And I didn't get drunk. I wanted to try it because they were making hooch.
Some hooch, some white
but-
lightning.
Well, no, I didn't try any of that shit because I've tried that shit before, in like jail and like yeah. And they were making this ketchup hooch, and everyone said it tasted like a Bloody Mary. That shit did not taste like a Bloody Mary, and it was fucking awful. And I did not get drunk. I dumped the rest of it out. Regretful purchase. So like I had a couple sips and was like, this is fucking horrible. Yeah, they made it with ketchup.
I never drank. I was always on pills there. I was buying everyone's regurgitated pills.
Yeah, I mean, I bought some pills and passed. Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleeping pills,
Yeah.
not to get high.
No.
So like I wasn't like
I wasn't
in
gonna waste
recovery.
it for, no, I get you. Yeah.
And like I get out and I didn't plan on doing anything, but when that lady told me I couldn't go to my mom's, when that lady told me I couldn't go to my girl's house, when she told me I couldn't go to my brother's house, and I had all these places, she's like, "You're gonna go stay in
Parole
this homeless
officer?
shelter." Yeah, you're gonna stay in this homeless shelter right across the street. I got out, met some brothers, and they were like, "Yeah, I know your boy. I know that. We were told you were coming, and Mike, this guy, I'm
Took
like,
care of you.
No, he pulled me off the side and he's like, dude, relax. You're not inside anymore. Relax. Yeah.
You're institutionalized already.
Oh yeah. He was like, relax. Quit scoping out. No one's gonna.
Quit hovering your plate.
No,
of
and
food.
he was like, bro, you want to give me your shank? I'm like, how do you know you? I'm like, I know you have a fucking shake. You got that look. He's like, and you're sober. He's like, I'm getting buzzed up. You want to get buzzed up? And I was like, no, I want to get high because fuck that parole officer. And I
You'll
was
get
like, I
high
have
at
this
her.
money. And then some people that were friends with my friends just handed me a pipe. He couldn't get me the dope that night, and I locked myself in the bathroom and got high.
Go time.
Oh yeah, he loaded like a whatever. Anyways, and then I did that for a month till I went and did my good time in Wright County Day Camp, and that was cool. And after that, I don't really know. Like I got out, went to my mom and my sister came and talked to me, and that was the time where me and my sister partied. Like when I got out, I back and forth between the job. I basically just drank a lot. There was a couple times of meth. Like my sister's boyfriend was a meth addict. I just seen him the other day, and they're not together anymore. And so once in a while he'd get high, and I'd fucking take his dope or like hold him hostage and like fucking smoke half his stash.
You've told me some of those stories.
Yeah. And once in a while I'd be drunk and I'd wake up and he'd be doing some weird shit to my deodorant in my bathroom, staring at me. Yeah, fucking weird. Meth is weird. And basically just partied. Like started fucking partying.
Did you just say he was doing meth and putting on deodorant?
No, he had I woke up, I was asleep, and like the bathroom was a double bathroom. Like it went into my room and the hallway.
Yeah.
And he's staring there, just staring at me, smelling my deodorant. And that really happened. I thought it was a dream. I asked Tara, and him and I were getting high
She's
later.
like, no,
and
he
I
really
asked,
likes deodorant.
no, she's like, yeah, he told me about that, and I didn't get it.
I don't get it. And
He
I'm
said
sober
he
6
used my.
years.
I guess he used my deodorant, like because I gave it to him the next time I was drunk. I was like, here,
Whoa.
gave him that and gave him like bottom of a Costco thing of deodorant. Like here, you have your own now, bro. Don't ever touch my deodorant again because that's the line.
That's the line.
Yeah. And so like basically living this crazy life like this in mom's basement, and
So we're gonna get you
eventually
sober here.
eventually I quit working to drink, and then the drinking started getting really bad at the end there, and like it got to the point like I started doing landscaping for a little while, and I was making money, and so my mom didn't care anymore because I finally paid all my rent, and I was giving her money. And I remember her and my girlfriend at the time getting an argument, and she's like, at least he's paying his rent. And she's like, Lisa, he's like 155 pounds, and he looks like shit, and he keeps getting hurt, and he keeps doing this, and he doesn't know what's going on. And like, dude, every night ended the same way. Like at that point in my drinking, I would come to throwing up with a cigarette hanging out of my mouth and a bottle in my hand.
There you go.
Sick.
So we went, sorry you guys, it got muted for some weird reason.
I went to treatment like 4 or 5 times in the next 5 years till I got sober. Went way up north, went to a horse ranch. All sorts of crazy stuff happened. And during that time, I had a little meth bender, and then I had a little bigger meth bender. And during the last one was the little bigger one, and I got fully engraced in the life again. And seeing that it could happen real quick, like everything that I was when I was 19, I could be. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and saying, I could do this. And then I could do this for the rest of my life. And during that period of time, I overdosed twice. And I'm not an IV user either. And it was because I ate my shit. And when you eat your shit, I ate dope. I would swallow it. That's how I would do mine. And when you swallow copious amounts of methamphetamine that has fentanyl in it, you will overdose. And look, man, the first time I overdosed, I like literally ran into a squad car. And then I argued with them, and they didn't believe I was me because of the beard, and my eyes were a different color. And like I was overdosing, I guess. And then they identified it, Narcan me, brought me to the hospital. Second time, a week or 2 later, got hit by an ambulance. And I always say when I'm sharing, if you're sharing with me, I don't know that there's going to be a third time, and I really, you know what the progression here is? Fire truck. I don't want to get hit by a fire truck. That sounds horrible.
I want to talk about divine intervention. Dude's overdosing, gets hit by an ambulance.
The second time. A week before that when I'm overdosing the cops. who all have Narcan
Yeah,
and
the
know what
next
to do.
one. The next one's a fire truck, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
Well, whatever. And that scared me so much that I got sober a month later.
So that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, over 4 years ago now.
So where did you go? Did you do treatment and then get out and go to a sober
yeah,
house?
right before that, I got arrested for a mistaken identity, and like I had done enough shit that it could have been me. But I'm still convinced it's a mistaken identity because I never had a yellow jacket or a car. So, but anyway, it was a guy with a beard that did drugs that stole shit. Just like me.
Like you.
Yeah. And at the end, so like I spent a night in jail and they let me out, and like on my way back to the trap house in St. Paul, from Hastings to St. Paul, I had sat at that cub all day waiting for my friends. No one came and fucking got me. It was bullshit. My phone was almost dead. So I tried to knock on a door and they didn't answer. I get down on my knees and I pray. I say, God, if you get me a ride and get me out of walking, I will think about changing.
I'll think about it.
That's how arrogant I was. Guess what happens within 30 seconds? A car fucking pulls over and he's playing Christian rock. And get in. I've done this walk before. And then he starts talking about Teen Challenge and how he can get me help that day. Thought about it. Thanks, God. Maybe next time. And I went back to the trap house. I talked to my mom a week before I got sober, and she was really scared that I was going to die because she had gotten calls from the hospital and the police and stuff and knew what was going on. And I was like, yeah, you should be, because I'm pretty sure I got a month less on this trajectory.
Was that your outlook too? Like, I don't
Yeah,
care
yeah,
if I
yeah,
die,
yeah,
I die,
yeah,
da, da,
yeah.
da.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to bring. I hate when we talk about suicide.
And I wasn't
but
suicidal.
that's what I was gonna say. Were you back to that point again?
No,
All
I
right.
just logically seen if I kept living the way I did that I was going to die. And I told her what was going to happen. I told her that at some point I'm going to show up at your house because I'm going to be out of dope. I'm going to have a bad day. I'm not going to have a phone. Before I can get a phone, before I can get the shower, before I can get the food, before I can get my homies to pick me up, before I can re-up and fix the situation to survive, I don't care what you got to do. Get me in. That's your moment. That'll literally might be your only moment. And I showed up there, and my mom was kind of scared. She hadn't seen me like that. And like I kept falling asleep. I tried to roll cigarettes, and like she called the cops, and they came. And she almost didn't. She waited an hour, and then Troy's like, "Didn't he tell you?" Basically, like if he gets that shower, gets that food, and gets and rolls half your cigarettes, someone's gonna come pick him up.
Yeah.
And yeah, we might never see him again. And then the cops argued with me for like half an hour. I kept going in the garage and smoking a cigarette, and then I came and I'd nod out, standing up and shit. And then I was like, "Hey, one cigarette," and he was like, "Read this." And I opened the note, and it was in my handwriting. It said, "Dearest dumbass, go with the police. Like, this is your one shot to live." And I went, and they dropped me off, and then here comes the drug addict shit. They get me to fucking Mercy Hospital, right? And we get there, and fucking, I'm like, "Aren't you guys going to stay with me?" And he's like, "No, we're out of here. You're here. Check yourself in. We've had a long day of dealing with you. Bye. Yeah. Good luck, bro." And they leave, and I'm like, fuck.
You're like,
I got a cigarette in my pocket. Yeah, 100%. And I go to leave before even checking in. And this lady comes up, and I don't even know who it was. And she just hugs me, and she's like, "I'm so glad you're here. I know your kid's mom. I don't know if you remember me. And I heard everything you were talking about." Because I had already checked in, and they told me to wait, and I was going to bolt. I was like, fuck it. The cops forgot I was going to bolt. And she's like, "I'm so glad. I'm just going to sit here and hold you and let you know that you're loved." And like, I could have overpowered this lady easily. And she's like, "God loves you. I love you. I'm so proud of you." And she's crying. She's crying. Like, you now have a chance to live. And like, dude, I don't always embellish like that about the story. But yeah, I was like, well, fuck, I guess so. And then for whatever reason, they transferred me to Unity because that's where I wanted to go. They didn't have rooms, so I went up to the psych ward for a while, shaved my beard off, whatever. And then I went downstairs and, I went back to it. that was the start of me. I went back to New Way. I knew I had to get back here because
Where's here?
2218. I knew that I had to get back here. I knew there was stuff to do here.
All right, this next few minutes, remember the horror that you just shared about. And now keep going. Let's hear about. Let's go. Now
So-
you're sober. Now what happens? Let's talk about this last 4 years, what the blessings have been.
Went to treatment, and it was a rough. I don't know. My first year of treatment was basically this. I went to therapy 5 days a week, and in the evenings I volunteered here or other places if people needed me. Other places.
Your whole life was recovery and
therapy.
Therapy and recovery.
Oh man, yeah. And then graduated treatment, became the manager of Sober House, president of Squad Council. All this shit, and like did a bunch.
not
of
shit. See, we're not going to skim over this good stuff
Okay.
as we just spent an hour of nightmare.
Okay.
Because this is all valid shit.
I
dude.
built a family of people here,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are still here. I built a family of friends. 2 of them are right here. I thought a third was going to join us, but he must have went back.
Well, that was very last minute.
I know.
So,
Casey. I told him to come up to the podcast room. I should have told you. You probably would have grabbed him.
I could have got him.
And I worked the steps. I tried a bunch of sponsors. I even had a female sponsor at one point because I came up here and I had all these people who were the bigwigs, the president of the club, the vice president of the club, the guy who started this recovery foundation, this guy who has a show or has a page and talks about how he's in recovery. Leon tried to sponsor me for a while, and they never had time for me. And everybody I tried, like every speaker, like they couldn't. So like my friend Shauna became my sponsor for a while, and she was into girls, so like it wasn't like I went on a girl like
Right.
the reasons why you don't have a like
it wasn't, there's no
And we
no
had
way.
had
it was,
this
It was
con-
a sister.
yeah, and we had this conversation like, you might have to be my sponsor. She's like, I could be your temporary sponsor if this doesn't work out.
Temporary.
And then I called her and she's like, okay, let's try it. I'm like, I need a sponsor and I can't get one to stay. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And we started working the steps and it worked till it didn't. There were certain things I wasn't comfortable talking to with Shauna, and that had nothing to do with Shauna. I love Shauna
Okay.
to death.
So it was
And-
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable talking about him with me. Why would I be comfortable talking
So
about
then
him
that's
with?
what it was.
Yeah.
You weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
You just weren't
I
ready.
wasn't
All right.
ready.
Okay.
And
Okay.
like it took me a while to warm up to my therapist and talk about some of this stuff. And like I had trauma therapy, and like I had a sponsor that was the vice president of the club for a while until he quit, and then I don't know. Anyways, he moved away, whatever he did. And like I still bounced through sponsors, and like then I started talking to Jason again. And like Jason had been my sponsor for 15 years. And I was like, Mom, I wish I knew how. She's like, I still talk to him. Here's his number. Call him. He asked
He's
me
one
all
of the most laid back, easygoing dudes. He drives hours to come here every Wednesday.
Yep.
Like
100%.
to this club, 2218.
100%.
To go to the 4-step workshop that I share about every single week and have on the podcast once a month, Rick and Jesse. So this Jason dude, he's easygoing. He's a good dude.
So he's my sponsor to this day. And one of my 2 sponsors. So
So COVID comes around and you're in recovery and you are now not just managing a sober house. You're a guy that owns sober houses, wants you to start not policing, but basically logistics and management of all his sober houses.
So when COVID happened, the people who were in charge of here, I just helped out. I helped clean, and by standing by people that were doing stuff, other people came and asked me for help. And like I was up here every day already by that point, but now I had a reason to be. And I don't know, dude, like this place blew up. That's when we met during COVID.
Right.
And
it was
that's
at
when,
it was a Fargo convention. So let me real quick. I want you to go down the story of Phoenix NA because a lot of people try to give certain people. It doesn't matter. See, that's ego shit for me to even bring that up. What I'm going to say is talk to me about Matt and your situation in 2218.
Matt and I are the founders of Phoenix NA
Yep.
with help from Dave, who doesn't want any credit because Dave came here and went to Dave. Yep.
Dave's not quiet.
Because
No, he's not.
and he came here and couldn't find NA meetings, and like so. And when Matt came here to NA, and like people at the time tried to downplay this, they told him, "No, you can't." We
Yeah.
had every hour AA meetings.
Yeah.
10 to a room or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
So read
They-
between the lines.
They said you can't start NA though.
yeah.
So basically, and once my sponsor at the time, Peter, found out about it, that's how we had an NA meeting every night.
Yeah.
And that was
It's the first time in history 2218 has ever had a Narcotics Anonymous meeting 7 days a week at the club, and now it's still going strong.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and they had one on Wednesday, but
Yep.
anyways, so at the first couple weeks of Phoenix, it was like a bootleg.
It was a
meeting.
bootleg NA
It was.
meeting.
You're
in quotes,
here,
AA meeting.
You're here for the wink, wink AA meeting,
yeah.
and you could tell the NA people.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Tattoos, or they talked real loud, whatever. And like, because look, man, Leon called me about Matt Krebs before he came. Sorry, Matt, if I broke your anonymity. And he was like, my friend's struggling. He's getting in fights. He's going to show up to a meeting. Please be there for him. And that's how I met Matt.
I didn't know
Facebook stalked it. Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was a
So
baseball player.
you met Matt at that stage of his life.
Yeah, 100%. And we've been friends ever since. I love Matt. He's one of
Yeah.
my best friends.
He's got as big of a heart as they come.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, we're each other's like sanity projector or something, or anger. I call him my anger management coach, and everyone looks at me like, "What?"
You mean match your anger management
Yes.
coach?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
See,
Matt doesn't he's the
he don't
epitome
fucking
of-
co-sign
No,
my shit.
yeah, no one shit.
No, we
No,
don't
he really
co-sign
doesn't.
each other's shit.
No, he's the
Also,
one guy I
in
know
the
that
same
doesn't.
aspect, oh, you're gonna go do something dumb. It's that serious, bro?
Yeah.
Tell me why we're going to do something
Yeah.
dumb together. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh no, I'm coming with you.
I think he was the first one that told me, he's like, if you want to use, give me the reason. If it's good enough, I'll buy the bag. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, if it's a good enough reason, I'll be the one to buy it. Come on.
So-
What's the reason?
So after that, we work with my sponsor at the time, the vice president here, and we get the NA every day. Every day NA is what we called it back then. And it was just, AA or NA. You'd come here and you'd either get a starter pamphlet for AA readings or NA and 10 to a room. And then eventually, when you could have more people here every day at 6:30 or 7:30, whenever it was just in one room. And they moved it from room to room for a while. And they had all the flyers. And Matt and I were like, Matt called me and he talked to Cheryl. He talked to the treasurer at the time, or I don't know what she was, and the president at the time, and they kind of just told him what he needed to do. And then he started talking to other, and then he called me. He's like, I don't know why I didn't call you. And we started talking, and I'm like, yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's do this. Let's just become a new meeting.
Yeah.
Because we are a new,
Yes.
yeah, we're not even a legitimate meeting.
Yep.
And because to that point, they were just whatever they made in the basket, they were given. And so we decided to become a meeting, and Matt called we sat and talked. We went to Matt's Burgers, the Juicy Lucy place, and sat and talked about it. And then we had this story where I was like, who'd be really good at this? My sister. And he's like, well, should I tell this? He's like, I think she blocked me. And I'm like, I think I'm blocked too. And if you know my sister, it's funny, but it's true. And then I was like, fuck it. I actually think I can find her number because she is my sister. And we called her. And I called her and I'm like, I'm with Matt Krebs. And she's like, oh yeah, I think I have him blocked. I'm like, and we laughed. And I'm like, hey, here's the deal. We're trying to start this meeting. I know you've got, well, it's been a while. And by this time, not everyone was coming to the club anymore because everyone had come up to this NA meeting.
Yeah.
But they had all been here and they knew what it did. And so we called all hands. We called all hands, and we organized. We've tried to figure out, and we gave up Wednesdays because there wasn't an NA meeting.
Yep.
So we became a 6-day meeting. And look, man, the whole reason Phoenix was created was because of a necessity, and the whole reason that it was brought here was because there needed to be an NA meeting at 2218 in this neighborhood where there are lots of drug addicts, and there needed to be one every day. And that is the purpose of Phoenix NA. And there, with all the treatment centers and all the addiction right around here, it needed to happen. And that's what Phoenix is. And it is growing into something I could have never imagined.
Yeah.
That's how I met you.
That's how I met your sister, when we were just wrapping up with the every week business meeting bullshit.
And sometime, I don't know, because we did Phoenix stuff and we were friends.
No, we went. No, it was Fargo at that convention.
We did.
Yep. But it was because of this. Yes. This place.
Yeah. And so then like on Thanksgiving or some shit, like I had told it, we had been talking about a podcast, me and Eric, and Sid Sid was supposed to be you,
I know.
and he never answered my phone calls. And then I called a couple people. Tara didn't want to do it.
You didn't even call me. I was in the right place at the right
No,
time.
no, you came up, and I'm like, look, I told you what they were doing with the live stream, and I'm like, hey, I want to start a podcast. You want to come on this live stream?
The first time?
Yeah, well, that wasn't the first podcast. That
Well,
was,
that was just us. It was an
and I
event
said,
of-
hey,
yeah.
you want to see if we have some chemistry together? And we did, and we went for 30 minutes, and then I read something, and you went and handled your Phoenix business after that, and I read something. I read a whole chapter of the NA book. And then we came back and we talked after the meeting because met you in the meeting, and I was like, what do you think about doing that? And then Eric came out, and he's starting to set up all this stuff, and he's like,
Yeah, big shout out to Eric M. too.
what up, Eric? And he's like, I have the stuff. You guys want to do this? Let's do it. And I was like, when? And he's like, the day after Thanksgiving. I'm like, this Friday? He's like, no, not tomorrow. So next Friday. So we had a week to prepare, and that was how this started.
Yeah, that was 3 years ago, dude.
Yeah, and it's still going on strong. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's going on strong. We're here. So, life's good.
Life
you know,
is
I
good.
think it'd be unfair if we don't let Joel speak at all.
I think we should let Joel speak.
And then
Let's
we'll
take
wrap-
an intermission for me and let Joel speak.
So, who are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Joel. I'm an addict.
Welcome, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
So what we do on the show, if I know you listen every week, so you understand. But what I'd like for our audience to do is just get to know you. So as comfortable as you are telling us about your experience, strength, and hope, you can take 5 minutes. You can take 50 minutes. We have no time limit. Whatever's off limits, don't share about. You share about whatever you're comfortable with. Tell us your story.
Well, before I get into my story, I do want to say I am somebody who also deals with suicidal ideations and many other mental health illnesses. So if anybody is looking for anybody to talk to about that, I am also willing and able to
You okay if I put your number on here?
do that.
All right.
So yeah, I grew up in your average household. My mom and dad were crackheads, and that was my life. We perpetually moved, trap house to trap house, that kind of thing. Like I really lived
From like
in,
an early ass age?
yeah, no, right out the gate.
Okay.
I mean, not to be like too, dark out the gate, but my
It's
first
true.
memory is getting raped. You
Okay.
know, so like that's life for me.
It's your
but-
story, bro, and no one gets to take that from you. And don't downplay. You be as comfortable as you are, man. That's your story.
Well, the thing that I like to talk about is, even though I've had, so much darkness and depression and stuff, the one thing, and I think one of the biggest qualities that came with me into my recovery that does come from my natural life is my family had a lot of love. Now, don't get me wrong. We'll steal from each other. We'll beat each other. We'll do all kinds of messed up, foul things. But we always came back together. We always had love.
So in all this chaos, you just the little bit 2 minutes you just shared about some really crazy shit just to start it. Like you also you said crackheads, rape, love. Like some of our audience, and including myself, like that's hard to understand.
Well, so that's, I think, one of my messages is that, there are beams of light and darkness, and everything that's bad isn't bad. I mean, every day in my addiction wasn't my worst day. I've had some pretty fucking fun days, twacked the hell out and drunk and doing all that, know?
Yes.
And so that's what I mean when I say we had love. Yes, it was ugly. My dad stole everything. My mom was, I don't really feel comfortable getting into my family's history too much, but I think we all get the
you said a
understanding.
huge mouthful with what you've already said.
Exactly. And so, the struggle was real. I'll go that route. The struggle was very real, but we knew how to come together. We knew how to, take some cheese and some noodles and make macaroni and cheese. You know what I mean? We made lemon into lemonade. We lived that life. And so with my story, I tend not to talk too much about that other than key points. One of the more formidable things for me, and I think something maybe I should call out is my family is African American. Me and my mom are the only white people in my family.
Okay.
Well, give or
How's
take.
your sound? You good? You can hear yourself?
I think so.
All
Can you hear me?
We didn't do a sound check because someone showed up late.
Hey, yo, turn my mic up. Dave Chappelle.
No, you tell me when. Are you good? You good?
Yeah,
Louder,
I'm good.
louder,
Yeah.
louder.
No, I can hear it.
I thought you were trying to be a whack ass Eminem.
Whoa.
So,
whoa,
all right, like
that is racist.
And I got to ask you something. Like, is there a reason you shared that you and your mother are the only Caucasian in your family?
Yes.
Why?
Major identity issues. You see, one of my hugest pieces was I was too black to be white, but I was too white to be black. So don't get me wrong. I found more acceptance in the black community, you know, and that's why I talk the way I do. That's why I was a gangbanger. That's why I did all the dumb things that I did, mostly based on, because let me make it clear, black people are not all that way. But in the gutter neighborhood I lived in and the demographic that I was around, that's what I was exposed to.
Right.
You know, and so I found my acceptance in that community, the drug dealers, the gangbangers, the prostitutes, all of that, right? And so I was tailor-made for this life of drugs right out the gate. In fact, my first beer was at like 4 years old. My dad was a full-fledged alcoholic. I mean, he had to have at least a half pint of gin just to wake up, along with some crack and some other things.
Right.
I mean, we get the picture. But so I was tailor-made for this. You know, like I didn't understand what good was until after I already knew full well how to be bad. And I say that because combined with the identity issues that I went through, and this life of crime that I was being exposed to at such an early age, I learned how to get away with it really, really, really well. I learned how to play on I learned how to take what I had to get what I wanted. And so that becomes a huge element of my story too.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick, and I want to show it the audience, and I don't even know if I know you don't know this because I've never told you this, but I've shared so many times on the show, and when I tell my story, it's like I came to these rooms, and what I'm about to share, it's not just so much about me, it's to explain something and kind of make this point about a lot of people that don't get it yet or understand it or been through what I've been through. Is I was raised with the hugs and the attaboys, and there was no wrong I could do on my parents' eyes. And I just thought that's how it always was. I thought everyone grew up that way.
Yeah.
And the only reason, I think one of the first times I realized, like, shit, I had it really good growing up was the time you shared. And I'm talking before you came in and out a few times. It was a while back, and it was, I think, at Phoenix, one of the first times you spoke up. And I was like, holy shit, like, I've had it real good. Like, and it's not, I'm just saying,
no,
perspectives, like, I wasn't exposed to that shit. I went out and found that shit.
Yeah.
To me, I knew, because you said something, not that you didn't know right from wrong, but you just basically said the way you knew was what it was. Me, I knew when I was doing something bad, I knew it was bad because of the way I was raised. Like, I didn't see crack growing up. I didn't see no gangbang growing up unless I went out and found it. And when I hear someone sharing about it, it's like, damn, I was privileged.
You know
Like,
what? But that's not to say that your story is any less than others.
Oh, and I don't feel it
definitely-
is. No, I don't feel it is.
definitely.
I'm just saying that I realize there's this perspective, a big part of perspective, because at the end of the day, we're all addicts.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Details are different. Our catalyst is usually turn up, but like
Right.
we're all in this room, and there's a reason we're here. But when I share about like my story, I realize I've had it really good. And no, I don't think that takes away from my story where we end up in these seats. And it's hard to talk to, let's just say, you about this, where it's like I'm saying something negative about the way you were brought up. I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
no,
saying
I don't take it that way at all.
It's this whole thing. Like you just said, you shared about it. You were raised in a place where crack smoking and like gang banging and the shit you see on TV, the bad shows or something, like that was normal for you.
Yeah.
Some people from where the side of the street I came from, that wasn't normal. That wasn't. I never saw it, and I couldn't have understood it.
That actually becomes a part of my story down the line.
I'll stop interrupting so we can hear
Oh
it
no,
then.
you're fine. You're fine. I love the conversation. It actually keeps me active. I'm ADHD. I'll scroll out real quick. So I don't know. Like alcohol started early for me. My first joint was at like 8 years old. To be fair though, it was because I thought I was stealing one of my mom's Misty cigarettes. Right?
Them long ass skinny
Yeah,
cigarettes.
them long skinny ones. And then I fell in love with weed. So at like 8 years old, I started smoking weed. At 12 was when I snorted coke for the first time.
And now, like, were you getting punished by your folks if this shit got caught?
Okay, so it was let me start by saying it was the 80s. You know, I mean, get the hell out the house and then don't come back until
Till the
the lights
street
come
lights
on.
come on.
You
Yep,
know what I
yep.
mean?
Okay.
And so I did get caught, but that's because I didn't know how to stop until I got caught, which also, you know, that's how I learned how to get away with things, you know, and to pick on my dad a little bit, dude he wasn't good at crime, but he was good at hustling. And he could finagle. He could talk you out your shirt, sell it back to you, and then get you to give it to him all in the same conversation. Like, dude was a smooth criminal, right? But, and so I learned that, you know, and I learned how to slick talk my way through. So I started at 12. That was when I got into drug dealing. And that's how I ended up snorting coke, actually, was because I was cooking it. And I wanted to see what it
there
was.
anyways.
Yeah,
Give it a
right? I
whirl.
mean, when in Rome, fuck a Greek, right?
Right. And I guess that's why I was at, like, because I mean, I went on this whole spiel about, our upbringings are so different, but, like, the way you were raised or whatever, that's why I wanted to ask, like, were you reprimanded or were you punished or was it cool that you're smoking weed?
No, so when my parents found out, they tried. You know, my mom definitely tried. She comes from the suburbs, so she had that
Okay.
upbringing. My dad is a Southern, I want to say Baptist. I'm not 100% sure, and forgive me for that. He was Muslim in the end, so
He was
that's how-
Southern.
Exactly, he was a Southern black man, and so
Okay.
you know, I got the switch. I got the Hot Wheels track. I got the extension cord, the sandal, the
gotta
shoe.
whip
My
him.
mom's got 2 prosthetic legs, so she literally broke her foot in my ass multiple times. Love you, Mom.
That's the epitome of that statement. Damn.
No,
Mom,
that's
gotcha.
yeah. Actually, one time she literally kicked her leg at me from like 6 feet away and hit me. and let me make this clear before, because I'm making my mom sound so bad right now.
No, hey.
I deserved every little bit of it. I mean,
Most
we're
of us little
talking
shits do.
Exactly. You know, at 12 years old, I'm running around with guns. So trust me, I understood.
But now here's the question I want to ask is, did you know you were doing bad?
You know, that's the thing. You know, all of my friends. So like we
That was
lived
the
in the
normal?
suburbs for a small point up until I was 8. From 4 to 8, we lived in Chaska in this place that's called the Pickle Pits. An infamous trailer park out that way for those who
Pickle
know.
Pits.
Yep, right next to the Gidney Pickle Factory.
Getney.
Getney.
It's the Minnesota pickle.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Okay.
there's so many
Yeah.
rats running in and
You
out of
look
that
like
place.
a Randy
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeehaw!
from Trailer Park Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I act like Randy too.
No,
I
you
even got
don't.
this.
All
I
right.
got the breakaway pants too.
100%, I know he does.
I do. But
You
so,
like hamburgers?
I love hamburgers.
All right. So, all right, you getting caught with a gun at 12.
Oh,
and
no,
I asked, I said, like, did you know you were doing wrong?
Well, no.
Okay.
You know,
then
because
there you go. So,
my only time period where I actually had some time to understand right from wrong was when I lived in Chaska. And not to say that, you know, the urban neighborhoods or the ghetto has no right and wrong, because it does. But in my environment where I was at, the only place that I learned it was in Chaska, when the suburban moms would be like, you shouldn't do that
Right.
because of this
Okay.
and that.
Okay.
Because what I seen at home was very different. Then when we moved back to North Minneapolis, all of my friends was my mom and dad's drug dealers.
Right.
And so from their perspective and the way that life looked from that way of looking at it, I didn't think I was doing wrong. I felt like
the
everybody
normal.
else was in a gang. I should be in a gang. Everybody else was selling crack. I should sell crack. Everybody else had a gun, so I should have a gun.
gun.
You know, and 12 years old with a gun, that's when I learned a lesson that I can obtain anything that I want through violence, you know?
Okay.
And that ended up being a really bad lesson for me, and one that I'm still working on. But
what happened to your hand again? No, I'm fucking with you. I don't know what happened. I don't. So I'm just being a smart ass.
to be fair, I went down on a moped, okay?
That's good, though. That's better than what happened to your hand a couple years ago.
Yeah, remember that?
Yep.
That's always how I thought you would go, too. That's on my bingo card, on a moped.
On a moped?
So real quick, shout out to AA Ron and Brian showing a love for our
Hey,
guys.
Ron, what up,
Hey,
buddy?
Ron, what's going on, buddy?
And Brian G.
Hey, what up, Brian?
Showing some love here. All right, so 12 years old, getting clipped with the gun and running back in North Minneapolis. Things are progressing, realizing violence gets you what you want.
So I stick with that for a good little while. Now, one of the things that I tend to overlook and why I want to get back into it is because of my struggle of identity. My issue was I stuck out like a sore thumb.
On the north side?
On the north
Running
side,
with
little white
gangbangers?
boy hanging out with a bunch of black dudes, so I was perpetually being chased by the cops. I was perpetually having to fight everybody to prove my worth and everything. And I say that to say I never seen myself as a tough person. I seen myself as a fear-based individual. And I think this helps me in my recovery because I learned right away that, okay, yeah, I'll fight you. But if you do something to scare me, I'm going to try to kill you. Not to say that I've ever.
Right, but
committed,
okay, well, whatever.
but that was the mentality
Don't
I
push
had.
me against the back of the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, cornered
the fight or
rat.
flight.
Yep,
I learned how
yep.
to fight rather than flight. And so,
But you flying now?
allegedly.
No, you flying. You on fire, bro.
All
All
right.
all sorts of good stuff.
So we're talking about violence and like
So I stick with that, and that's where I gain this understanding of what I call the drug dealer mentality, right? Where as long as I don't do crack or well, pretty much in my neighborhood it was crack PCP, or if I did heroin because there was some base
just
heads.
sell it, don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't get high in your own supply attitude.
But I also in my teenage years discovered suburbia, right?
You got a taste of it. Yep.
Yeah, I loved it. Oh, the parties were great. There was no fights. No fights at all. I could get so fucked up and fuck a girl in the yard and nobody
And
cared.
didn't have to worry about no one
Let
with
me
guns.
ask you something. When you, this is a grimy test. When you started partying in the suburbs, how long did it take for you to start robbing them motherfuckers?
He said every party I went to, I was scheming.
I
through
was
the-
gonna
Was
say
it the first
night.
night?
Okay.
The very first night, me and my buddy, we robbed this lady.
Your story checks out.
Robbed her.
100% grimy.
Look,
right here.
Validated it.
Look,
All right.
we're from the north side. We're out in like Maple Grove, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
100.
it's fancy. And this lady's got marble and she's got like nice TVs. We took everything.
What-
Like we went
oh,
into a room and took all the jewelry. And then at the end of the night, the kid tried to stand up for his parents because he knew he was going to get in trouble. I mean, we took everything. We were literally starting to move out TVs. And these aren't small flat screens, so.
Old two big ass.
Yeah, 2-man TVs. And then we ended up jumping him and taking his stuff. So,
This is at the Pickle Pear or the.
No, I had
the
already
Pickle
moved back
Pits?
to Minneapolis. I had only lived in the Pickle Pits for like 4 years.
Okay.
Pickle pits or pickle piss?
No, it's a trailer park in Chaska.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
So
I don't know like that, but I'm
no,
just giving
it's not
Joel shit.
infamous like that. I don't think it is.
all right.
Maybe
so
it is.
You guys are back here doing crime now.
Yep.
All right.
And so I found the suburbs, and it's kind of ironic because you were talking about how you were on the one side and you thought things were so good for you. I came to see a different struggle that the other side deals with. I'm kind of like a turnkey kid, but the reason why I say my family has
Latchkey
love,
kid.
latchkey kid.
All right. 'Cause, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The reason why I say my family has love is because I remember sitting and getting fucked up in really nice houses with all of these suburban people, and like their moms didn't care. Their moms didn't it wasn't like they were like pill poppers or they weren't like
just didn't
crackheads.
give a shit.
They just didn't give a fuck. And to feel that unwanted was so
Kids will be
empty for
kids
me.
type of shit.
When you knew that
Yeah.
you had real love from your folks.
Yeah, I knew that. Look, I knew I would go home and there would probably be a hooker in my bed because my dad liked to rent them out, right? But I also knew that I could have a beer with my dad. We could kick back and I would have a warm feeling of a fucked up warm feeling, but a warm feeling of love.
I love it when I come home and my old man's got a hooker in my bed too.
I didn't get to have
that's
him.
real
Well, fuck you, Dad. No, just kidding.
No, son, I got you a birthday present. Now
I
listen,
mean-
we can't crack jokes in recovery. So then, I guess you notice this, like these kids really don't have the love I have, even though let's just say they got some better.
They had nice things, but they had empty lives. You know,
100%.
and so that's where I think one of my best lessons, and that came from when I was in my addiction, was money isn't everything. Now, granted, I ended up going a whole nother road with that, but that was where I first got the understanding that I was happier playing spades with no money, using candles to light up our apartment at night because we couldn't pay our bills, things like that. We had fun though.
Right.
There was good times there. But then I remember sitting at Steve's house and like dude's crying. All we did was smoke a little tiny weed, but he's crying, sobbing perpetually in front of other dudes because his mom doesn't love him. I didn't understand that, you know? And so that was where I kind of started to gauge that understanding. Now, another thing did happen was I fell in love with the suburbs.
Okay.
I could get away with murder out there, you know? I could do everything, and I was tougher than most of those kids, you know. So like, all I had to do was flinch at them, and I could have anything. I could do whatever, and I could have everything, you know. So I really went on.
You
board
brought
with
that ghetto to the suburbs.
Exactly, and you know, and I think because my face is white, I was able to do a little bit more because my friends
were they kind of fucking with you with the identity thing, the wigger talk,
Yeah,
and the this and that.
they
type of
did.
Shit? Or were you getting,
Is there any truth to the fact that 50 Cent's hit song Wankster is written about you?
fuck you.
So were you getting more shit from the suburb kids or from your black friends on the north
Actually,
side?
the suburb kids.
They were ruthless.
Yeah,
And they
I ended up having a hatred for rich people.
acting like they're yeah.
Yeah, well, because they would lord it over me. And even though I could see their emptiness, they still treated me some kind of way. So I started treating them some kind of way. And yeah, but I loved their lifestyle, you
Right.
know, and so I
It's
fell in
easy
love
to be
with that.
envious of the material shit when you don't have it.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's this thing, this emptiness that you know, you got what you know is real love, and they're over here with some empty shit. Like
Yeah.
it is. It's one of these things. Like, what do I want or what feels better? I don't know. It's all each to their own. So then, how does this whole thing's progressing? Like,
So through this, I ended up getting, I think, 40 some odd minor consumptions. I think I got a couple of assaults in my juvenile days. I mean, my long story short, I had a life of crime that was going behind me, right? As well as a full-fledged addiction, and I was fully aware of it. I knew I loved coke.
do you know it was a problem though?
I didn't.
You didn't think
I was
like-
deluded. See,
Right,
I
right.
thought because I wasn't losing things and because I could afford to, like at this point, I was selling drugs.
No,
and,
I got you, yeah.
You know, so I could afford things. I was buying cars randomly. I was doing things that like other people couldn't do, and I was trying to emulate that suburban life.
And it doesn't go hand in hand with what you know an addict is or someone that has a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, shit, I had needles in my arm, still thinking, no, I got this. It's not a problem. Like, think of that with that, just what I said. Like,
Yeah, that falsified delusion of I'm better than you because I don't do what you do.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so I rode that train all the way up until I was 18, and that was when the little boy charges turned into big boy charges. I caught a first-degree burglary, and it's kind of a stupid one. I literally caught a burglary because a buddy of mine threw a stink bomb into a lady's house. And that's automatically crossing the threshold. She was in there.
It's just like kidnapping.
Yep.
It's weird
Yep.
rules on that.
Yep.
You move them more than 3 or 10 feet, it's kidnapping.
Yeah.
Against their will. Yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, I was doing lots of dumb things, you know. So I had it coming. That was where
Right. It's kind of like Dad said, or something like the one time we got caught. How many thousands of times did we really earn that?
Exactly.
This guy with the yellow jacket and a beard. Sure, it wasn't Tad, but he still did just as much dirt.
Exactly.
All right. So okay.
So I bring that up because that was my first recovery. I did have some treatment stints in my teenage years. Didn't care. Didn't stick with them.
Big smiles. All right. So.
But
yep.
So one thing did happen though. All of that trauma, and one of the reasons why oftentimes when I do talk about my story, I gloss over the beginning, even though it is so traumatic, is because when I got sober, that was when I learned about the 12 steps. And I learned that this is how I can solve my problems, not just my addictions, but my actual problems. And I started to process and get therapy and things like that. Unfortunately, after a few years of that, I became complacent and fell victim to my suburban dreams of being a drug dealer. And I know that sounds weird mixing the two, but for me, that's
No,
what it was.
it's not.
I could have that kind of money.
I mean, and real quick, like a side note is you did just say like I don't talk much about my upbringing or that like that side of it, but it's not for me to tell someone how to share a story. But you know, you did open this with saying like you know, crack, rape, and like, I mean, the way you open it, that's something that. And you don't need to validate. None of us need to validate our stories, but that's powerful shit. That you know, you're talking at a teeny ass young age, and that's why instantly I'm over here like, see, I realize the way I was brought up versus someone else. Like I said, I knew love, this and that, but I didn't even think that was some TV movie shit. I didn't think that was real until I hear someone else sharing about it, and it's like, I hate saying, and that validates your story today. It doesn't, but everyone's. I was just on the phone with someone, and it's like my past doesn't define who I am today, but I don't forget it, and I learned through it. And who was it? If I have Pastor Jeff was saying, if I have 1 foot in the past, 1 in the future, I'm pissing on the present.
Yep.
And it's like, but I don't forget my past.
Yeah.
And I can't worry about the future, but I can learn from my past. That we don't make them same mistakes. So now I cut off our story. You're talking about like this go ahead. I'm sorry.
So essentially, that sobriety, I don't put a lot into that one because I think 2 pieces. I was too young at that point to really, find myself to fully believe I was an addict. I said I was an addict, but I didn't really believe it, and so my complacency did get
no
me.
true first step.
Exactly. And so how do I work the rest if I've never worked the first? And so but it did add something to my life. And so I did take that, and I turned myself into something. For a few years, I mean, yes, I was dealing, and I went back to smoking and drinking, but I was able to do grown-up stuff, right? And so I never really understood what functioning addict really was until I came out the other side of that. For about 10 years, I was able to functionally be an addict. I was able to do the parties and do the thug life thing. And, I was a club promoter for a while. So I did kind of what Tad was talking about. And
before you got here, he shared about like his dad, a functioning drinker.
Yeah.
I don't like saying alcoholic because if it's functioning, that just to me doesn't sound.
Yeah.
But like, hey, you're doing everything, holding the job, buying what you wanted, this, that, you're not locked up and doing drugs.
Yeah.
Shit, I did drugs for 15 years before I came to these rooms. My lie wants to tell me I was a successful drug user.
Exactly. Well, so like all of these things. Well, you know what? I'll wait till I get back into identity. So, in this time, I was also in a relationship, and some things had happened. She decided to get into stripping, right? And I felt like I pushed her into that lifestyle. I felt like me living my lifestyle is what coerced her to do that, right? And so, of course, now I've got the perfect reason to start doing copious amounts of cocaine, right? And the ability to do it through the avenues that I was getting it. I ended up becoming full-fledged addicted to coke. And I bring this up a lot because for those who do know me, I make a lot of jokes about how I never had done crack. It's literally the one drug I haven't done. Mm-hmm. And that's because I was raised with that false facade. As long as I don't smoke crack, I'm not a crackhead, And for whatever reason, that meant something to me. Mm. And so I held on to that. Well, the reason I bring that up is because the amount of coke that I did, like seriously, I was full-fledged crackhead, But I didn't want to see it. I deluded myself.
You just didn't add no water or soda to it. So.
Exactly. Well, let's be honest. The stuff we're getting nowadays is pretty much pre-mixed.
Whatever. So, I mean, and we're 3 guys here from the NA program. So we're talking about it, and it's what it is.
Yeah.
So you get a taste of recovery, but your heart wasn't in it.
I wasn't
and
ready.
You're back out for how long before you did the time you have now?
Ultimately, I think about 15, 16 years roughly. In between the 2 recoveries, and I progressively got worse and worse as the literature speaks on. Things got worse. I continued to delude myself and tell myself everything's fine, and then one day, I couldn't get what I would normally get, and so a buddy of mine comes to me, and he's like, "Hey, well, I've got this stuff called meth." Now, I did crank back in the day, and I was scared of crank because that stuff had me up for like 14 days straight, and I was nuts. I'm a crazy person to begin with, so I'm like, no. And he was like, no. This stuff, you're only going to be up for like 3 days.
Just 3 days.
Yeah, no, it was a total lie. But I fell in love with it because I finally found that thing that can make me just accept whatever I'm going through.
It was through speed, or it was through uppers that you found that.
Yeah. And so in my mind, I found the holy grail of happiness, because every time I did this, I felt great. And you know, there's the explicit sides of it that I also enjoyed quite a bit. And you know, like everything about it was wonderful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it didn't take more than, I think, 9 months for me to lose a 14-year relationship, lose my condo, lose my cars, lose my bikes, lose my ATVs, lose everything, and end up in a tent. That was, you know, the progression was vast and it was quick, and I loved every second of it. And that was the sickness of it. I was in a tent and thinking that this was the best life I could be living. I used to be a chef at like corporate levels, you know, and I'm in a tent and I'm thinking, this is life. This is great, right?
I got it made.
I've got it made. I'm living the best life. Nobody tells me to do
Looking
nothing.
back right now today at that mindset, was that just a delusion, or like in your heart you really thought that? Like
At that moment, I genuinely thought that. I now know it to be a severe identity issue, and that's what I'm gonna get back into.
I mean,
that.
and like I say, it's your story. Like I'm shooting at, like, could it be this or that? And if that's the answer, then that's the answer. At the time, like,
Well,
you
so-
felt that was it. You made it to the pinnacle. You did the tent.
Got to go back to, you know, when I was younger and the you know, living in the crack house thing and all of that. You know, I what I call that is I'm from the gutter. And so when life gets hard, i.e. The relationship had ended, I had also lost my work and was going through some other things medically. I had given up.
Right.
And the identity piece, tweakers love me. I fucking get it in with tweakers. You know, like from the start to the finish, we're just best friends, and I loved that. In the gangster lifestyle, I could gain momentum, I could get respect, but I was never really accepted. You know, with the dope dealers, we didn't trust each other, so we couldn't even talk about acceptance. And with the suburban kids, I didn't actually, you know, like they couldn't accept me, I think, because they couldn't understand me. But tweakers fucking got me, bro. You know, and so that was how I felt. I felt like I found my spot, my place, right?
Yeah.
Well, I stayed with that for a while until I think I caught frostbite like 14 times in one month. And
in the tent.
no, well, at this point, I'm going bus stop to bus stop because
Okay.
in the middle of winter, they'll open up various bus stops, and it'll be like 20 degrees at the bus stop. But if you sit there for more than like 4 to 6 hours, sometimes the cops will make
Yeah,
you move.
yeah.
And so that's how I kept catching frostbite, because, you know, at 4 a.m, there's no buses, and, you know, and then COVID started to be a thing, which opened me up criminally. Now I've got a society of people who's no longer guarding their stuff
Right.
that's in their storages. I happen to have a particular skill in that area, and so 1 + 1 = burglary.
Right.
And I woke up, so it was a two-parter for me. In the summertime before I got sober, I had this time where I woke up. Now I'm somebody who cares about the way I present myself, and I have for the majority of my life. I've always tried to polish up my trash can as best as I can. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Well, I woke up one day and, you know, I had been on a nice little bender. It was nice and hot out, and I thought something died next to my tent. It wasn't anything. It was me. I smelled like death. I was dying. And that stuck with me. But of course, I'm wallowing in my pity so heavily that I can't get out of that. And so I stick with that momentum into the wintertime. And when I had finally caught frostbite and realized that this isn't the lifestyle for me, but I was lost. I didn't know what to do, you know? And so I ended up going to detox,
Where at?
St. Paul.
Okay.
Yo, shout out to St. Paul Detox.
St. Paul?
Yeah, no, they saved my life. So I went there, and I wasn't necessarily ready. I was trying to do the treatment hustle, get off the streets, get into treatment.
Been there,
you know.
done that.
Exactly. I've done it a couple of times myself, and then those are pieces I leave out. But the reason I bring this time up is because even though my mind told me I wasn't trying to get clean, after I came out of that meth coma, I felt something that I haven't felt in like since I was a child, and that was hope. I actually was hopeful about what tomorrow might bring, because I had a roof over my head and I had food in my belly and I had a place I could sleep in. Even though the people I lived with weren't the most trustworthy, I could kind of trust them, and that was
Right.
the most hope I had in a very long time. And so
Hell yeah.
that at least gave me the start for the pink cloud, you know, that opened up the door.
Oh, that pink cloud.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So that was this. All right. So real quick, what were you at on time right now?
I don't know, 2:22:22. I think I'm like 15, maybe 6.
All right. So
14.
was that then? Was that?
No,
that-
no,
okay.
I've had some relapses in my
Okay.
recovery.
All right.
This was 3 years ago. When and I ended up going to Navon. And that was when I actually met this charming little fucker over here. And I bring him up specifically because he may not know it, but he laid the foundation to the way I do my recovery. I come into a CMA meeting, and here's this loud, skinny, nerdy-looking guy that's just super, super, super
What's
weird
the opposite
looking.
of loud, skinny, nerdy-looking guy?
Are you talking about me, sir?
Yeah, remember, you're not the favorite child right now. Casey is.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, I see this dude, and he's talking about service work, and he's talking about giving back, and he's talking about having fun in recovery. See, that first recovery I had, it was dry. That's why I don't talk about it. I went to events. I didn't care for them. I didn't put anything in. I didn't invest, right? Because I didn't think that would be fun. I went to clubs and I went to bars to pursue my happiness, so I never actually gave it the chance. I was introduced to Fellowship by Tad. And that was the foundation. That's the difference in this recovery. And actually, the reason why I did have a multitude of relapses in this recovery, but I kept coming back, was because the thing that I did different this time was I came in and I built a foundation of fellowship around me. I've got people who, when I don't come to meetings, they're like, "What's up? Are you okay?"
Right. They're invested in you.
Exactly. And so I found finally in my whole life that fellowship, that acceptance that I've always been looking for, you know. And here, it doesn't matter if I'm white, black, wigger, or suburban, or whatever. All that matters is that I have a desire to stop using.
You just said the most magic words of the night. It doesn't
That's
matter.
it.
It doesn't.
It's
It doesn't
the
matter.
Only requirement.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're all here for the same common purpose. And here's the thing, like, I know I can walk into a meeting in Arkansas. I can walk into a meeting in Florida, in Canada, in Europe, Amsterdam, in St. Paul, Minneapolis. I don't need to know your name. I walk into an NA meeting and we all have I don't need to know your name. We both are here for the exact same reason. As long as I'm here for those reasons, like, I'm welcomed. And like, I can speak firsthand. Like, I know that this newer group of people with Phoenix, like, talk about some of that stuff that you guys
I'm
have done with
definitely
the what you brought in and what you guys have done about turning it around. Because like, there was a previous the rent on the rooms were pretty up there, and when we started Phoenix, the people that were there for us when we started, they said that they could work with us. Things changed, and then all of a sudden, Phoenix was in debt almost over $3,000.
Yep.
When my position was up, it was almost at 2,500. Take it from there.
Okay, so that's actually why I brought up fellowship, was that became a big thing for me. And when I got into Phoenix, or when I started to invest heavier into Phoenix, you're right. It was, I think, I want to say our total amount in debt was $33.60 something.
And real quick, side note, on some beast mode shit, the reason we know these numbers so perfect and diligently is a girl named Missy,
Yeah.
who stays on top of it. She gets under people's skins, this, that, and the third. But you know what? She puts her all into that.
She's a mathematician for
Yes,
sure.
and she put her all into it. I believe she still does. I don't know. But go ahead.
Well, there's more to it. I mean, Missy is amazing. Missy, I love you. But we also had help from the club, and we also started
new board.
something. Exactly.
Yep.
We also started something in Phoenix that I've been told hasn't necessarily come up. I don't know that to be true, so I don't really want to say that. But apparently, there hasn't been another meeting that has had an events coordination thing that does what we do.
Not that I've heard of.
I don't know that to be true. I think other meetings do it, though.
And regardless, it doesn't matter. What matters is that Phoenix has one, and you're part of that being started.
Well, me and Jamal.
Yep.
Me and Jamal, we
Joe co-piloted, and really, like, we talked about it. I was still at the club then,
Yeah,
and I was with the
You
board.
You
coached
started
him-
this. That's
you
what I'm
coached
saying.
him in how to bring it up.
Yeah, and I coached him on how to bring it up, having had events committee and 100%. Like, I can't do it, I'm busy, but
Yep, I
I
remember,
will
yeah.
bring it up with you standing here, and you'll step on me. Like, I'll stand here and smile next to you while you do all the work.
Yeah, I was still part of
And-
it. I was a member still,
Can
and you brought it in.
Can I just say something? Like, quick, like, you know what? This new board has accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to do and started that. And like, the rent's low. People are coming back. And so fucking happy, grateful, and proud of this new board. Whatever
Yeah.
qualms I personally have with people that sit in those chairs, forget about it. Like, super proud that this place is starting to become the place that I wanted to. That's the whole reason I joined the board.
And that makes you happy to know this board's
100%.
doing that.
If I was fighting anyone, it was so that it could be this.
Yes.
Not what it was. Not prejudice. Not charging $9 million for a place to have a meeting. 'Cause you know, that's not what I wanted. And I wanted what was happening here. And now, congratulations, 2218, and your new board members. You're doing the best you can, and you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So
Um,
what
and-
happened with this committee? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Now, I want to say,
we're not wrapping
both
up.
you
at
and
10.
Casey, like, dude, Casey, good job. I'm glad you're back. You got a long ways to go, buddy. I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you linked up with Joel and you think you know what you're like. You have some clarity in the fog. And like, in 30 minutes yesterday of a conversation I had with you, I seen more growth than I seen in 2.5 years. That's why I'm here. 100%, Joel. Super fucking proud of you. You still got a long way to go too.
Oh, fuck
As
yeah.
do Tim and I.
Yeah,
But
I'm nowhere near.
like,
the finish
look, man,
line.
when I went up in that boardroom, and I'm not getting into the specifics with 2218. You know what I heard? I heard my mentee. I'm not his sponsee now. We tried that, and he didn't want to hear what I had to say at the time. He wanted to blame me for him, and that's fine. Joel had to deal with that. He said he wanted to be my friend because this nerdy guy's cool. But
like you.
100%. Like, so I became his mentor. And
agree.
like, you know, he's my protege. Him and Casey. Dude, the meetings, the things I started. Tim, like, the shit helped the club and it built it up, and none of that ever stopped. I didn't take my ball and go home.
And it's
I'm
not gonna stop. We're
No.
training a new generation
I had
behind us.
access to the account for 6 months, and every day I would text him, "Don't give me access to the account. Get me off." What if I was one of those people? I text them that. Like, I could mess your stuff up. And I didn't. But, like, did I want to sometimes? Yeah. But, like, I realized when I went in that meeting, like, whether I got untrespassed or not, look, man, my legacy is here, and it's helping other people, and it's fellowship and helping the struggling addict in this neighborhood. That was, look, man, most people who know me, a lot more people know me for this than they know me for robbing people, peeing on shit, and smoking meth.
I would have
Absolutely
to agree with you
right.
there.
And like, look, man, as long as one person, whether it's you, Casey, Tim, anyone, keeps that spirit alive. Why did I start the show, Tim?
Recovery, gratitude.
To help people because there weren't meetings around, and to have
Gratitude.
and to have
Gratitude.
fun.
Gratitude.
Fun.
Gratitude. Jamal, you're the shit. Thank
And
you, Jamal.
so, like, look, man, Joel
What's up,
brought,
cousin?
and basically what happened, what I've seen is something, and this is something old timers preached in me, man. So a huge shout out to you, dude. I'm proud of you. I know I don't say that a lot
Thank you.
to you, but I'm proud of you. I really am. Look, man, each one teach one. Like, look, man, I had a couple sponsees that him and Casey do a lot of shit here. I taught them. People, and I might not even be some of their sponsees. I'm their mentors. I'm their friends. Do you know how many times I've heard in like the last 3 months, like what Joel said? Like, that is better than being president of 2218. That is better than a big ass gold belt that I bought. Better than some joke that I'm the recovery. Better than I have this title. I want to say it's better than 1 million Jordans, but I've never owned 1 million Jordans at once. I think it is. But you know, and I don't wear Jordans anymore. I wear LeBrons. So, I mean, look, man, I 100% like that is why I'm back. That's why I came back, because my friends asked me to. They're like, we're doing this stuff. And like when I was up in that boardroom and I heard all the nice things, like I've been there, done that. I've had it, and I heard these people say the things like there was a couple things. Tim almost cried. He did. And like everybody was like, Tim was the guy that like stood out. And
I was?
yeah. And it wasn't the letter. It was afterwards. You were like, hey, all that shit is true, but check this out. And like,
you know what? I'm going to say something real quick. If you sit on a board, you have a duty as a board anywhere, not 2218, anywhere, and in life. You have a responsibility to what you are there to do. And this whole thing is set up on something called principles before personalities. God damn it, I have feelings, and I have anger towards shit, and I get upset about things. But if I don't practice that, it runs my life. I can go get lost on my emotions, this, that, and the third. And if I just practice some principles and forget about my emotions, fucking life gets better, guys.
That's right.
And listen, things are good. We are getting rapping, but real quick before I bring us this next spot, will both you guys come back on here shortly on the next opening?
Sure.
Because we're nowhere near what we got to talk about.
We'll finish both our stories.
Yeah, but I do want to know, what did you end up bringing up for Phoenix to start bringing in some big extra money?
Well, so what we did was me and Jamal started the Phoenix Events Committee. And we started with doing barbecues in the park, doing dances here at 2218. There was some areas of whatever. We don't got to get into politics, but we did broker with no money a deal with a club that traditionally speaking would charge anywhere from $300 to $500. We got an ability to do dances with them and do events here. We now have a game day. There's people who are talking about getting the club open. We're not there yet, but we're trying to open the club during the day from 12 to 5.
Let me real quick bring this up because I received a message, and earlier I needed to have confirmation, and I'm going to talk about that real quick. You know what, guys? You're coming back on, and we got a whole nother show with the two of you, and I think it's going to be probably 2 weeks after Gopher State. When the show's over, we'll confirm it. Let me bring this up. Excuse me. First, I want to thank both you guys.
No,
Seriously.
thank you.
Tad, you told that you're a long story, longer than the 3 minutes that you wanted to, and then go on to something else. And Joel, we got to finish what we started with your story. We've had a lot of feedback on some stuff. But here, this is a message I got. Also, 2218 is looking for volunteers so that we can keep the doors open. We're looking to try and keep the doors open from 12 noon to closing, 7 days a week. We're talking about having this open all day long. And the way we can start doing that is become a pledging member. And it's not $20. It's not $25. You can do $100 a month if you want, but it's at $15 a month to become a member here. You get a pretty cool little commemorative coin, but you also get the access to come here, meet with your sponsees, come here on off hours, stick around after and before meetings. There are some, and they're coming up with more and more, it's called perks, but membership is low, and $15 a month, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's 50 cents a day. It's nothing. So this club you're hearing, we've had 3 years of shows. I've had 400 guests on here. Every last one of them talks about how one way, shape, or form people came out because they want to talk about how this club helped save their life, how they want to do whatever it could to get back to this club, to watch this club grow out of something that they had an idea to do, and now it's there, coming to fruition. And it's the world's longest running club.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're able to, come check it out. This place needs volunteers. It needs help. It just does. It's on the rebound. Meetings are coming back. Like I said, we've got CMA back in the house here. Yep. That's meeting once a week again. It's called Mathematics. We've got Al-Anon back in the house. That's every Thursday. We've got that every Friday night. It's a LBGQT plus and sensory friendly. It's Friends of Dorothy. We've got the first Wednesday bike ride, first Wednesday bikes, motorcycles. Come on down. They're doing barbecues. We got monthly dances. We got the Ride for Recovery coming up, and that's going to be huge. I just talked to a couple guys that are putting some stuff in the silent auction and for donations.
Shout out to Rob H. He's going to be speaking.
Boom, Rob H. Oh, is he?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I know Schwab's Garage is putting up some pretty cool stuff for the silent auction. So, oh wait, I shouldn't go down that list of those people yet. Wristbands, $20 like always in advance, 25 at the door. Just come on down this club. You're hearing us talk about it. They're really making some big, great changes. But there's something I really want to bring up is we talked about some mental health tonight. We talked about some really scary stuff, but we also talked about some true stuff, but we also talked about how they got through it and what they did to do that. And a lot of that looked like fellowship, staying connected, and reaching out. Joel put his number up here. Please reach out to him if you're having any of those thoughts. I've kept the suicide hotline on here the whole time. It's 988. If you're struggling or you're having some harmful thoughts, just utilize that number. You can reach out to me. You see tons of people post on here. If there's ideas you have for the show, the guests you want to see on the show, people coming back to the show, just reach out. You can reach out to Joel now. You can reach out to me. Reach out to Tad. Go to any of our past shows. Tad has his number on there. But we love you guys and love the support. And just don't forget, like, you're worth the fight. You're worthy. You deserve your recovery and happiness.
Right.
So, hey, Tad, ask Joel what he's grateful for.
Joel, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for the brothers and sisters that I've met in my recovery and the accountability that's given to me as a result of my fellowship.
Sweet.
Sick.
Joe,
Cam, what are you grateful for?
no one's asked. For some reason, we got muted there. Joel, what was it? The brothers and sisters that you met in the program you're grateful for?
And,
All right.
And the fellowship.
And the fellowship.
accountability.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Tad, what are you grateful
Hey, no, I got you first. Don't try and do.
We went mute. I don't know why. So,
Hey, and if you're telling me that you haven't, I think you owe us like months of gratitude now.
It never-
Is that what you heard, Joel?
That's
yeah.
what I
All right,
read.
here you go. Months and months. My mom.
Hey, man.
Hell yeah.
She's a beast, and she's there for me.
Hi,
And
Mom.
hey, wait, I'm not done. And I have a girl. This girl, her name is Jess.
Yeah, she's cool.
She doesn't, even during the show, she don't co-sign my shit. I got a girl who really holds me to my words, and she won't co-sign my shit. I want her to, but she's the one who hears the most from me. So when I say one thing and then I say something else, just like now on the show, she said, "But you chose to do X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "Shit, I did." It's good to have that in your life.
Yeah.
Like I always pride myself on saying I surround myself with people that don't co-sign my shit when the closest person in my life doesn't co-sign my shit. So, Jess, I love you. If you're listening, can't even get my girl to support the show. No, I'm joking. I know she's listening. Tad, tell us about your gratitude tonight.
Oh man, my gratitude goes forever. Like right now, I'm grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for the journey I had to persevere in the last year, and that I was fucking somehow able to keep my head above water and be mostly appropriate. Like,
I think you've accomplished that really well too. I just
Yeah.
want to be the one to say
And
this.
show some grace in this situation, because man, there were nights I didn't want to. Look, man, I'm grateful for my fiance, Mandy. I love you. I'm grateful for my cat. I'm grateful for my sponsees, my kids. 2 of them are in the room with me. Look, man, I'm grateful for my recovery family. I'm grateful for my higher power. Look, man, I don't know, man.
All right, that's your gratitude. Now
Yeah.
we got to do this thing called.
Can I do one more gratitude
Yes,
real
you
quick?
can.
Just because I kind of took a shit on my family. Shout out to my mom. She's got 20 years of recovery.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for my mom.
That's sick.
Good job, Moms.
Good job,
Good
Moms.
job,
Good
Moms.
job, Moms.
So we do this thing here on 2218's Attitude for Gratitude. It's final thoughts with Tad.
Oh.
It's been a minute.
No music, no nothing. I didn't even know that was gonna happen.
Yeah, it's called Final Thoughts with Tad. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Oh, all right. Let's get after it.
Oh wait, no, I don't hear it in my headphones.
It's
No, he can't hear it. He's Joel. Look,
I was born.
it's
that
been a
way.
long time coming. I'm back. I'm gonna take things slow. Look, I want everyone to know that I don't plan on being super involved in this club right now. My sponsee said some crap like, I'm gonna get on squad council with Joel in like 2 years, president and vice president. I was like, no. He's like, me president, you vice president. I was like, no. And Mandy literally put a fence up and like, stay away from him. This is the boundary police. It was pretty funny. But like, I'm working with a sponsor, and his name's Tom, and he came in and he was one of the people in that meeting with us. He is sponsoring me on working the steps, and we are working the steps on this place. I have an addiction to this place, an addiction to helping this place. I became obsessed with it. I have an addiction towards my resentments towards the people that hurt me. And let me tell you this. If this man can stay clean during what happened to me, people said some really horrible things about me. They said I did stuff. And anyone who knew me was like, that's not true. And they put that out there. My family heard about it. And I'm sure that was quite intentional. My family cried for an hour before they were like, wait a minute, I talked to him yesterday. I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him and check. But that's an hour more than they needed to. People called ex-girlfriends to try and find dirt on me, and, they didn't. And so they made shit up.
So
And
you persevered.
I persevered through that stuff, and look, my final thought is simply this. Don't fucking give up.
Nice.
Look, man, don't give up. No matter what you're going through, there's always going to be a bad guy. They might live in New York. They might live in Florida. There's always going to be someone against you. And look, man, they might take their 100% shots fired. I'm not going to say their name or say anything super crazy, but look, man, you put me through hell and you said things. And you have now told people that you're scared of me. You don't have anything to be scared of, especially if you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to hurt you. I don't live that way. I work a program of recovery. I'm not one of these people who reads out of the book and just quotes stuff. I'm one of these people who puts it into action. And do I fuck up? Yeah. Have I yelled in the last year? Yeah. Have I wanted to do stuff? Yeah, I'm human. Guess what? I'm a motherfucking drug addict that's a violent felon. Of course those thoughts cross. But look, man, my final thought is don't give up. If you believe in something, fight for it. And when I say fight, I don't mean punch a motherfucker in the mouth, because we're not doing that now. That's not how we do. I persevered through that stuff. I had some of those individuals while I was on the board make fun of me for having mental health. Look, man, shit's going to happen. If drug addicts around you are going to die because mistakes are made. That's the name of this game. If you see something and you want to change it,
Do it.
do it. I had a good conversation with a former board member who stepped down because of the same issues that I had. And they were like, dude, you are smart. And I was like, look, it doesn't matter. I had one goal at the end when I became president, and that goal is accomplished. That goal is accomplished. There's a new board with new blood that has lowered rent. And I didn't have to be a part of that for it to be accomplished. There's all the shit that I ever dreamed about that I used to talk to you guys about. It's going on right now. This place is succeeding. It is thriving. It's becoming the Mecca again. Dude, that is the shit. And guess what? Because I'm not on the board, because I don't have to deal with those problems, guess what? I can enjoy it.
That's right.
If I choose to, I can be a participant. Because if you know me, I didn't get to be a fucking participant.
Now you're understanding what it's like from my side of the story.
Yeah.
You see why I play the game the way I do?
Someone was asking me, dude, you want to help? I'm like, hey, man, I'm not helping until after my 12 steps on the club. And they're like, I think that's
There you
smart.
go.
And I was like, also, just to say, I never got to be a participant. I want to see what events are like here as someone who's enjoying them and came to have fun with his friends.
Figured
Well, we are
after
gonna have plenty of
watching me
events
for
coming.
2 years, you'd have picked that up and saw how Tim was walking through this mess. So, hey, you heard him. Don't give up. That was what his final
Don't
thought
give
was. Just don't give up. Fight for what you believe in and don't give up. Joel, thank you for coming on and getting vulnerable with us. Tad, thank you for getting down and dirty and telling your whole story. And we love you guys, man. It's you guys that help keep the show going. Again, if you're struggling, please reach out. Utilize that hotline. We love you guys. Talk to you next week with don't sleep on next week. Let me tell you something real quick. Next week we have got Elsie and Jamal are on the show. So the one that they were talking about, the other one who was part of this committee, Jamal's going to be on. He'll be here. And Elsie, she's going to be here too. We love you guys.